football modifier. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26 on the growth of character points. Today will be the first game of La Liga, the beginning of the climax. Life is so lonely as snow, lying on a large soft bed in a foreign country, chewing the last piece of honey bread brought from China. Tongfan suddenly felt so lonely, with no relatives or friends. Even if you want to find a legendary Spanish beauty with bulging front and back, to study the human physiological structure, you have to spend money to hire a local indigenous guide first. Could this be the legendary cold weather at high places? Tongfan thought shamelessly. After filling his stomach, the bored Tongfan clicked on the game and prepared to predict the first league match between Real Madrid and Mallorca. Ding dong, you get 2 character points. Ding dong, you get 2 character points. Ding dong, you get 2 character points. Just after reading the archive, the system beeped 3 or 4 times in succession like a vitiligo patient having convulsions. When Tongfan reacted to the content of the prompts, he was filled with ecstasy. Wahaha, you're so lonely. It's so damn comfortable to have character points. Tongfan's mood changed greatly, and he felt so happy in his heart that he suddenly felt that the system's cold prompts were as pleasant to the ear as Jay Chou's unclear articulation of blue and white porcelain. After finally calming down his excitement, Tongfan began to study the reasons for obtaining character points. 3 black and white football-shaped prompt boxes popped up on the system screen, which read in detail, "You have gained the gratitude of Real Madrid player Ronaldo, and the system rewards you with 2 character points. You have gained the trust of Real Madrid assistant coach Greed, and the system will reward you with 2 character points. You have gained the appreciation of Real Madrid team Dr. Gonzalez, and the system will reward you with 2 character points." So that's it. Tongfan suddenly realized it. After closing the prompt box, he clicked the mouse to enter the employee information page of Real Madrid in the game. Sure enough, he found a small green icon floating in front of the names of assistant coach Greed and team Dr. Gonzalez. 2 words: trust, appreciation. It turns out that's what the hell happened. Tongfan patted his thigh and entered the Team Lineup interface. As expected, a small icon appeared in front of Ronaldo's name, which actually showed 2 words. Grateful. After a while, after careful calculation, I got a total of 6 character points, which is enough for Leoli, a prodigal man, to live in luxury for a while. In fact, 6 character points is the second most important thing. The most important thing is to finally find a way to get character points. In this way, his life is finally a little safer. Tongfan can finally see the god of the underworld waving his sickle reluctantly and roaring ferociously. The face is getting further and further away from me. Leoli, who just now felt that life was as lonely as snow, couldn't help dancing the rumba and started singing happily. Seeing you cry, I won't look back, ==sepaраting. line==the players have a holiday tomorrow, and Tongfan finally has a whole day of free time to spend by himself. He decided to take the time to go to the Madrid branch of the China Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, ICBC, to exchange his salary into RMB. Open an account for each of your dad at home and your brother who is in college, and deposit a large sum of the root of all evil into it. In this case, mom and dad can abandon the more than 20 acres of mountainous land, buy a house in the city, and play take I imagine with those fat old men and old ladies to prevent Alzheimer's disease. As for falling out of love, the brother in the middle, his ex-girlfriend who thinks he has no money to cheat on him, will probably cheat on him with regret. By the way, I remember that Calderon promised that he could bring an assistant to Spain, but he forgot about it during this period. Which friend should he choose to come to Fang Bang to accompany him? Well, just my high school classmate Yanato. This bastard who doesn't pay back the money he owes must quickly ask Calderon to bring him to Spain to sing music to relieve his boredom. At the same time, he will have a casual position as a coach in the team, so that he can pay what he owes to him from his salary. More than 250 yuan was deducted back. Li Tongfan thought about a lot of trivial things in confusion and finally fell asleep in the dim night. Thousands of miles away in China, the sky is clear and the breeze is blowing. Zai City, GS Province, at the edge of the garden at the entrance of the number 3 girls' dormitory of Hexi College, a short-skinned young man in a suit and leather shoes held flowers in his hand. He blocked the college's most beautiful sister Ruha and offered the flowers diligently. "I'm your little dog. It's my little bone. Even if it falls into a smelly ditch, I will pick it up and carry it away." Ruha shyly took the flowers. "Actually, after I met you, I discovered that pure friendship can really exist between men and women." Fuck. The young man Bankan was depressed that such a vivid confession had a miserable ending of the falling flowers follow the flowing water intentionally, but the flowing water has no intention of falling for the falling flowers. He snatched the flowers and said, "If you didn't tell me earlier, you almost wasted your labor and money on a flower." Ruha was furious. "Go away. You just picked a dogtail grass from the small garden and you want to deceive me of my virginity? I don't care about it." The young man ran away. As soon as he turned out of the school gate, 2 blonde foreigners stopped him and asked in standard Spanish style BJ Mandarin, "Are you Mr. Ito Yun? We are the Real Madrid club." Ito Yun was stunned and ran away. "Help, robbery, killing, want to lie to me. Do you think you are that bastardly Tongfan? ===split ==madrid. Spain, August 26 local time. Assistant coach Grad came to the team's head coach's office with a gloomy face. As soon as he entered the door, he observed the expression of Li Tongfan on the big swivel chair. Well, he seemed to be in a good mood, so he sat down carefully and said, "Dilly, there is a bad guy. I have news for you. Did we get into the group of death in the Champions League draw?" Li Tongfan said casually without raising his head. Greda was shocked. "How do you know? There is really a problem this time. Chelsea, Shakhtar Donetsk, EK Athens. Chelsea will definitely get a qualifying spot. We have to fight with the other 2 teams for the remaining one. The quota is up." At this point, Grad was a little helpless. "Lee, you won't blame me. God, my luck is really bad." "You can't say that." Li Tongfan suddenly stood up, came to Grad, looked into his eyes, and said with a rare serious expression, "Old Jet, there is something that I have to talk to you about seriously. Thanks to Cheyenne Bayo Dialing, Yi Lingjian, $, and the Night of the Dead for their great evaluation votes. Thanks to those who left messages in the book review area. Thanks to those who have been silently voting for Football Modifier, a new book by an expert. The cover of The Knife was made by him. Although it is not a competition, you can check it out. Chapter 27. You can't say that." Li Tongfan suddenly stood up, came to Greed, looked into his eyes, and said with a rare serious expression, "Old Jet, there is something I have to tell you seriously." "Ah. What?" "We can't retreat just because the opponent is too strong. You have to know that we are Real Madrid, the most successful club in the 20th century. We have stood at the top of Europe countless times. Defeating ordinary opponents cannot show our glory. Only by crushing strong teams like Chelsea and Barcelona can we create our own legend." Li Tongfan patted Greed on the shoulder. "So, Old Jet, I have to thank you. It's you who gave me the opportunity to prove myself. Listen to what those bitch reporters outside say. I will use one victory after another to slap those people hard. I slapped those bastards hard in the mouth until they saw me from afar and were too ashamed to even raise their heads." Greed stared blankly at the high-spirited Li Tongfan and suddenly found that the young man in front of him exuded a different kind of magic. Thinking about his various actions after coming to the club, maybe the fat businessmen on the club's board who knew nothing about football really made a wise decision this time. DIVISION===ON August 27th, 2006. The hot Spanish La Liga 06-07 season was about to begin. Real Madrid's first game had to go to Palma in Mallorca to challenge the mid-level La Liga team Mallorca. The team took a bus to Mallorca one day in advance and stayed at the 4-star Hotel Blue Jam near the San Mois Stadium, the venue of the game. After a long journey, the players returned to their rooms to rest as requested by Li Tongfan. After getting off the bus, Assistant coach Greed studied tactics with Tongfan and made final preparations for tomorrow's game. The opponent Mallorca team was founded on March 5, 1916. Since then, it has been struggling in the lower reaches of the league and has been relegated to Group B many times. The best result in the club's history was the runner-up of the last European Cup Winners' Cup in the 1998-99 season. However, the current head coach Gregorio Manzano is a famous old fox in La Liga. He is good at using people and can often bring the team's limited capabilities to the extreme. Mallorca's characteristics are extremely balanced offense and defense and stable performance. Therefore, although there are no big-name stars in the team, they must not be underestimated. After carefully studying the opponent, assistant coach Greed suggested that Tongfan adopt a more stable tactic to play this game. After all, it is an away game and the first game of the season. Facing huge pressure from the media and fans, there is no room for error, so winning is the first goal, and you can't care too much about whether the scene looks good. In Greed's opinion, a victory can at least temporarily shut up the media. You are wrong, old jet. Tongfan waved his hand proudly and resolutely rejected Greed's proposal. This game must not only win, but also a big win. Facing a team like Mallorca, if we can't score more than 3 goals against them, those bitch media will definitely make up all kinds of reasons to spit. I can't give them a chance. Besides, if we rashly change the tactics, then the 4-1-2-1-2 formation that we have been practicing for more than half a month will be in vain. Greed was silent. Indeed, the current public opinion environment is not only unfavorable to Real Madrid, but also terrible. Previously, major European gambling companies have opened the La Liga Championship odds. Barcelona ranked first with odds of 7-4, followed by Valencia, 14-1. In second place, Sevilla, 16-1. In third place, Villarreal, 25-1. In fourth place, and Real Madrid, the runner-up of last season, which spent nearly £80 million to recruit players, surprisingly ranked 5th with odds of 33-1. Everyone knows the reason why many bookmakers offer such odds. The board of directors of Real Madrid collectively had a brain cramp and actually selected a rookie who had never had any coaching experience from the football desert of China as the team's head coach. This is a shame. An absolute shame. After shamelessly, secretly and anonymously betting half of his salary on Real Madrid to win the championship, Tongfan published a long commentary in his column Dictatorship and Various Dissatisfaction in Marca like a madman, cursing the heavens and the earth, swearing that he would lead Real Madrid to win all the championships that can be won this season. If he fails, he will jump into the Mediterranean and swim back to China, win the championship he wants. The world football world was in an uproar. Even the madman Mourinho dared not be so arrogant. Who do you think you are? The illegitimate son of God. Even if he is, God is not omnipotent on the football field. Tongfan was honored to get his first nickname in the coaching industry, Madman. The famous Austrian sports betting company whimsically set in new odds. How long will the glutton drift in the ocean? At the same time, in the survey conducted by the Spanish Football Association on who will be the first head coach to be fired this season, Tongfan also topped the list with an absolute advantage of 88%. Far ahead of others. All these things reveal the pessimistic view of the public opinion on the new season of Real Madrid. So assistant coach Greed is afraid that the man in front of him will collapse because of the pressure. But since Tongfan is so confident, let's play against each other. In terms of the strength of both sides, it should not be a problem for Real Madrid to win. August 27, 2006, at about 5:40 p.m. local time in Mallorca, the opening game of this season's La Liga. Real Madrid's away challenge to Mallorca is about to begin, and the players of both sides have begun to warm up on the field. The San Moisés Stadium, which can accommodate 23,145 people, was packed. Mallorca's fanatical fans finally got the chance to release the male hormones they had accumulated for a summer. The ferocious expressions on their young faces were like lions whose mates had been taken away. Their hysterical shouts brought everyone into a harsh and noisy world. When Real Madrid players were warming up, every time they touched the ball, there would be overwhelming boos from the stands. Kill Madrid, go back to Calderon's mother's arms and feed the Stands were full of insulting slogans from Mallorca fans. One of them was particularly eye-catching. It was a huge portrait with a length and width of more than 10 meters. It was unfolded on the stands. In the portrait, a Chinese man in a robe and a big braid was lying on the ground humbly, and standing opposite him was a European wearing a military uniform from the 8-Nation Alliance period of the last century. P.S. I'm about to write about the game. Because it's the first official game, I'll write more. Thank you Blue Fire Dragon for the 6 evaluation votes. Zyodeo keeps on writing. Recommend a friend's book. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 MANZANO-039. S smile is like a chrysanthemum. Well, let me start by saying that I added about 80 words from the previous chapter to this chapter. It is definitely not to make up the word count. It will make the reading smoother. This is the 3rd update today. 6,000 words a day. Zyodeo had to type for 8 hours, and my claws were cramped. Please vote and collect. ====The stands were full of insulting slogans from Mallorca fans. One of them was particularly eye-catching. It was a huge portrait of more than 10 meters in length and width. It was unfolded in the stands. The portrait showed a man wearing a robe and a big haircut. The Chinese with pigtails was lying on the ground groveling, and standing opposite was a European wearing a military uniform from the 8 power allied forces of the last century. At the bottom of the portrait banner, a few words were written crookedly in red paint. Chinese, kneel down. Although more than 6,000 visiting fans who came to the St. Moise Stadium with the team to cheer for Real Madrid fought back, they soon became like trembling little larvae being suppressed by a rough pervert, which in turn aroused the anger of the Mallorca fans. A fierce counter-attack, and in the blink of an eye there was no sound. At exactly 6 o'clock, Real Madrid captain Raul won the coin guess and chose the right to kick off. The referee Fernando Vitenis blew the whistle and the game officially started. The starting forward sent by Lee Tongfan are Raul's partner Ruud van Nistelrooy, attacking midfielder Guti, the 2 wings are Arias and Robinho, and midfielder Fernando Gago. The back line from right to left is Roberto Carlos, Joel Luca, Cannavaro and Ramos. As for the goalkeeper, you don't have to ask, it's Saint Cassie Point Ronaldo. The enhanced alien who was in great form during the previous training was unexpectedly placed on the bench by Lee Tongfan. There is of course a reason for this. On the one hand, among the team's top forwards, Ruud van Nistelrooy was with an outstanding performance. There is no doubt that he has locked up his starting position, and Raul is the leader of the team. In the season opener, he will give the Lord of the Rings some slack. On the other hand, Lee Tongfan hopes to use good steel on the blade. If the team really can't open up the situation, so it's not too late to send in an enhanced version of Fenny Luo. As for Beckham, he hasn't mastered his core magic skills yet, so he'll just sit back and watch for now. Leoli has other plans for his playing time. After all kicked off the ball, he knocked the ball back to Guti behind him, and then he and Van Nistelrooy quickly moved forward. At the same time, wingers Riaz and Robinho could not wait to rush to Mallorca's goal. Both flanks and even the 2 fullbacks joined hands and happily pressed forward to fish in troubled waters. Attack, attack, keep attacking, attack with all your might. This is the 4-1-2-1-2 kill you 3000 mad attack tactic that Lee Tongfan had painstakingly set up before. Mallorca's formation for this game is also 4-1-2-1-2, but it is slightly different. The 2 fullbacks Juan Arango and Ibagaza's position was closer to the center circle. After the opening, the whole team immediately shrank to their own half, and even forwards Maxi Lopez and Diego Tristan also looked at each other. He ferociously ran to the center circle and tackled the Real Madrid players. 15 minutes before the game, the scene was in chaos due to a brutal foul committed by a Mallorca player. As expected, Guti, the core of Real Madrid's front court attack, was completely frozen by Mallorca's Greek iron waist Bassinas. Real Madrid's offensive tactics failed in half. The whistle in the mouth of the referee Vitanis is like the endless dripping of urine by a diabetic patient. It rings again and again, blows again and again, and one after another Topaz God of War card is offered cheaply to the Mallorca players. Big giveaway. However, the fouls committed by the Mallorca players were not useless. Real Madrid's offense became more and more chaotic. After the players were tackled to the ground again and again, they began to show impatience. The situation was passive, and Honest Greed couldn't sit still anymore. He kept standing up and sitting down from his seat. He was as anxious as a panicked monkey, jumping up and down, and almost gritted his teeth, and rushed into the court to bully the few. Lee Tongfan stood up and came to the sidelines. He glanced at Mallorca coach Manzano, who was resting on the opponent's coaching bench with his eyes closed. He sneered in his heart, "No matter how cunning a good fox you are, can you beat an old hunter like Leo Guan?" After nearly 20 minutes of the game, the intention of the old fox Manzano has been quite obvious, which is to contain Real Madrid's three axes of the devil through intensive defense and rough fouls. When Real Madrid's superstars are beaten by these small fish, the shrimp got angry and lost his composure. Then Mallorca's counter-attack would be as fatal as a curled-up rattlesnake. The old fox's wishful thinking was ringing, and even the Mallorca fans, who knew a little about penalty kicks in the stands, seemed to have seen the goddess of victory waving to their team in a coquettish way. When the game reached the 30th minute, Lee Tongfan looked at his watch with a lustful look. If he remembered correctly, according to the results simulated by FM 2007 last night, the goal time was about to come, so Leoli pretended to observe for a while, and when Ria's cross was destroyed by the opponent and went out of bounds to form a corner kick, he suddenly danced and commanded, "Veteran, hurry up, go to the front, and stand at the far post. Come up quickly, quick Real." Madrid centre-back Joel Luca, who was still hesitant about whether to go up and participate in the attack, vaguely heard someone calling his name on the sidelines. When he looked back, he found that the head coach Mr. Idiot jumped up like a spring ball. Jumping down, gesturing with an orgasmic look on his face, he motioned for him to press on. "Well, since the head coach has decided so, why should I hesitate?" Gianluca made up his mind, strode forward and stood in the far corner of the Mallorca goal. At this moment, the onside cameraman intentionally or unintentionally swept the camera across the Real Madrid coaching bench, and everyone saw a crazy and funny scene. Real Madrid's young head coach, Mr. Husband, was jumping around on the edge of the field like a clown, his face flushed like a prodigal who had just had 6, desperately asking his players to press forward and attack. Oh, look at it. What an interesting scene. It seems that the passive Real Madrid has reached the edge of collapse. Even their young head coach can't bear the huge pressure and is starting to lose his mind. Poor Mr. Bastard. Football is not only attack. The on-site commentator naturally favored the home team Mallorca and started to tease Lee Tongfan with gloating. The fans turned their attention to the big screen, which was playing Lee Tongfan's actions in slow motion over and over again. A flood of laughter came from the stands, so that the players on both sides, who were playing nervously on the field, couldn't help but be distracted. Observe the causes of laughter. The goalkeeper at the other end of the court, Saint Cassie, noticed the ugliness of his coach and couldn't help but cover his eyes. Mallorca coach Manzano's old face burst into a proud smile, with wrinkles like blooming asterisk asterisk asterisk. The referee Vitenis signaled Real Madrid's Riaz, who was taking the corner kick, to start a free throw. Riaz's corner kick went straight to the front of Mallorca's goal. Amidst the push and shove of players from both sides, the white ball, like a frightened Australian kangaroo, playfully hid Mallorca centre-back Jose Nunes. Jose Nunes clicked on his bright and reflective forehead, crossed the control range of goalkeeper Antonio Prats, and escaped to the back post. "I finally finished the contract today and just sent it out. I can't make it in time for next week's recommendation. I'm so depressed. Thank you Zia for your review vote, and thank you Captain Necromancer for another review vote." Chapter 29. No one dares to laugh anymore. In the sorrowful eyes of the Mallorca players, a big man wearing a black Real Madrid away jersey jumped slightly, and the ball rushed into the net like lightning. After the big man scored the goal, he was stunned. It was so easy. Then he looked at the ball that was still spinning in the goal. This time it was his turn to turn into a frightened kangaroo, turning around like running wildly on the sidelines. The camera zoomed in, and a series of dazzling letters were printed on the back of the black jersey veteran Luka. Google. The ball has been scored. Huh. It's unbelievable. The ball has actually been scored. After seeing the goal, the commentator screamed subconsciously and suddenly realized that it was the other team that scored the goal, and such excitement might arouse public outrage. So he added fearfully, Real Madrid is really so lucky. After saying that, the man quickly wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Little did he know that these few words of his had already angered the fanatical Mallorca fans, and curses broke out in the stands. Where did this son of a bitch commentator come from? Did he get shit in his head? Pull this bastard out and feed it to the dogs. Let this bitch die. The angry curses were mixed with scattered hisses, like the moans of a dissatisfied prodigal girl, over and over again, showing the master's bad mood. In the home team's coaching bench, after seeing the goal, Mallorca coach Manzano's **** blooming on his face seemed to have been severely destroyed by the frost after autumn, and it quickly declined. After scoring the goal, Luka ran all the way, avoiding the teammates who were surrounding him, and rushed to Lee Tongbiam, who was secretly giving Mallorca head coach Manzano the middle finger with a smirk on his face, and hugged his waist. His own coach raised it above his head. He has 1,000 reasons to do this. It was this young coach, whom he had never met before, who took himself from the Croatian prefectural league to Spain, and then to Madrid under tremendous pressure that ordinary people could not imagine, making him a member of the great Real Madrid team. And just now, it was this man who had changed his destiny, who resolutely commanded himself to stand at the far post of the Mallorca goal amid the ridicule of the 23,145 people in the audience. And then, the ball seems so easy. Is he a god? Luka carried the slightly panicked Tongfan on his shoulders. The camera passed by again, and the big screen on the field showed this scene repeatedly in slow motion. In the shot, whether it is the excited and ferocious face of Luka or the embarrassed look of Tongfan yelling at the big man to put down himself, they are more absurd and funny than the scene just now. But this time, there is no one the slightest hint of ridicule. Mallorca fans were like frightened good babies. All of them were dumbfounded. More than 6,000 Real Madrid fans who came from afar, after being suppressed by the opponent's noise for most of the halftime, finally roared and made their own voice. Come on. Madrid's loud singing echoed through the San Mamés stadium. The game continued. After accidentally conceding the ball, the Mallorca players seemed a little absent-minded, while the Real Madrid players strictly implemented the coach Lee Tongbiam's theory of killing you while you are sick, torturing Manzano in the scene again and again. The fragile little hearts of fans beep, beep, when the referee blew the whistle to end the first half. The worried Mallorca fans collectively covered their hearts and stood up from their seats to wipe their sweat. You guys, well done. Lee Tongfan arrogantly issued a political statement in the locker room. Look, Mallorca's bunch of cowards who only know how to throw shovels have been stunned by you. Those in the stands, who are just even the yelling coward is frightened by you. I think you must be very happy, boss. Can you still enjoy the second half? Haha, I want to come a few more times. It's so enjoyable. The Real Madrid players were sitting and wiping their sweat with smiles while watching their head coach swearing. Compared with the gentle Queiroz and Rosenberg in the past, this young coach seemed not to know what humility was. But they have a strong appetite for these hot-blooded young men. No problem. Our slogan is to press harder and shoot harder. Lee Tongfan took out a small black book from his body with satisfaction, glanced at it carefully, and then said, Gonzalez and Guti will rest in the second half. Ronnie and Luka are ready to warm up. We want to give the old fox Manzano a surprise. When Raul heard that Lee Tongfan wanted to change his fate, he raised his eyebrows inadvertently and said nothing. His performance in the first half was not good. Mallorca's strong central defender completely guarded him, so he made little contribution to the team point. Needless to say, Guti, Mallorca's intensive defense prevented the through balls. He was good at exerting any power at all. However, in the first half of the first game of the season, the team's captain and deputy captain were replaced so simply. Assistant coach Grad was sweating for the Tongfan next to him. After the 15-minute break, the two teams entered the stage one after another and started an even more brutal fight. The Mallorca fans in the stands regained their energy during the halftime break and regained their vigor in the first half. They opened their arms, patted their chests, and screamed for the team. The second half started. Oops, Real Madrid made substitutions. Raul and Guti came off the field. They were replaced by the newly joined Croatian players Modifier. Well, Ronaldo? Isn't this fat man injured? Why is he there? Here. The tone of the onside commentator was full of surprise, like Columbus discovered the new world, and then he immediately comforted himself. It seems that the young coach of Real Madrid, who is under tremendous pressure, hopes that aliens can help the team, but the alien with the body of a hippopotamus is still, can you score goals like before? This is undoubtedly digging your own grave. Unfortunately, before this commentator with Tang Monk potential could finish his words, there was suddenly a buzzing sound of tens of thousands of people sucking in the air conditioning. The Mallorca fans held their heads in their hands in annoyance, as if seeing the girlfriend I had worked so hard to pursue suddenly fall into the arms of someone else. Oh God, who can tell me what happened? Go in. Is this a goal? The commentator failed in his duty for the second time in this game. His stammering tone made people think of this. The scene where my friend was pulling his hair wildly in the commentary box. PS. Thank you Lee Changeo for your rating vote, and thank you Blue Fire King Lan for your review again. During the ranking period, leave whatever you can. The book review section is almost out of control. Anyone who has time can apply to be a deputy moderator. Also, I don't know how to do that post that has over 10,000 clicks to send blessings. Does the moderator need to do something? Chapter 30. A very fat man stood up. Less than a minute after the second half kicked off, most of the fans who came back from booing in the bathroom had not yet warmed up the plastic seats under their buttocks. Real Madrid superstars were already celebrating the goal on the court like convulsions. Referee Vitenis said. The angry-faced finger points to the middle circle, with no sadness or joy on his face. Mallorca's players, on the other hand, had blank expressions on their faces, looking at the fat man who was being pushed down and struggling by the Real Madrid players, with a look of terror in their eyes. The commentator continued to play his embarrassing role. Oh, he scored a goal. Let's see the slow motion return. Visit. Oh my God, Ronaldo. On the big screen in the center of the stadium, the screen began to repeatedly play the wonderful goal shot that many people had just missed. After the kickoff, Mallorca made a long pass to find the team's forward, but Real Madrid defender Cannavero pushed the ball hard. Before the ball hit the ground, winger Robinho came out like a ghost to stop the ball. Due to the impact, the opponent's defensive midfielder Bucero interfered with his personal movements. The handsome Brazilian boy chose to stop the ball with his chest and directly hooked forward. This was a blind pass, and the ball flew towards the background bald head of Mallorca centre-back Jose Nunes. Do all-round things like to be lumped together? Maybe Nunes should consider becoming a forward, with a higher success rate in grabbing points. Bring it on. Nunes, who scored an own goal in the first half, found an opportunity to make a contribution. He roared excitedly and rushed up, preparing for a beautiful top shot, but at this moment, a very fat man came out. Ronaldo started to rush forward the moment Robinho passed the ball. When the ball was still 10 meters away from him, Nunes was still 8 meters away from the ball. However, the ball was flying towards Nunes. According to the physical logic of the earth, within a second or two, the Mallorca central defender would be the first to clear the ball. Then Nunes, who was full of confidence, began to have a smug grin on his face. But then it turned into nervousness, then into panic, and then, amid the exclamations of the audience, the fat man who flied too low, as if he had drank aviation gasoline, stretched out his hand in the stuffy red sneakers just 0.01 seconds before Nunes touched the ball. With his big feet, he controlled the ball under his feet and passed it with a stop, leaving Nunes, who had performed countless face-changing stunts in 3 seconds, to feel a wave of trembling air. Tragedy. Until then, poor Nunes suddenly thought that it seemed that this fat man had been nicknamed an alien before, and it was a tragic mistake to use the physical logic on earth to ask him. What happened next was a disaster for Mallorca fans. The chubby fat man showed his lightness that was incompatible with his weight. The iconic pendulum pass made Antonio Pats, the head of Mallorca, after a futile performance of lying down on the spot. He sent the white ball into the empty goal. Shocking speed, unparalleled technology, aliens return to Earth. After Fenielio scored the goal, he raised his arms high and looked up at the sky with a happy smile on his face. Since the serious injury at the Mesa Stadium in 1999, although I have scored the opponent's goal again and again, I never dare to sprint as I like today. The fragile knees and the glass-like patella are always worried. If you go on strike and demonstrate when you are in good condition, injuries are like a naughty lover you can never get rid of, coming unexpectedly again and again. But today, it's over, and a somewhat obscene figure flashes in Fenielio's mind. It's that person who changed everything. Real Madrid's other superstars discovered that this fat man was shamelessly standing in front of the opponent's goal with an ugly pose after scoring a wonderful goal. So they rushed up to him unceremoniously and pinned him down. "Ronnie, you bastard, you stole the spotlight from all of us. Fedi. LUO, help, fake. Some bastard stepped on my place." As for Lee Tongfan, his heart beat hard the moment Ronaldo rushed forward. Although he had long known that the ball would definitely go in, seeing his former idol at such a close distance made him feel so devastated. The despair of the opponent is far more inspiring than the small green dots that only move back and forth on the computer screen in FM. The ball went in. A kind of anger and pleasure instantly filled his body, so that Lee Tongfan broke away like a madman from assistant coach Grad, who rushed to hug him to celebrate. In everyone's surprised eyes, he ran around the court for more than 500 meters and came to the gathering. Mallorca's most die-hard fans roared wildly in the north stand. "Kneel down, bastards. Come here and kneel down." Like an enraged lion, Lee Tongfan unconsciously waved his arms and shouted provocatively in Spanish. In the stands, a large banner with a Chinese man crawling on the ground with a long whip appeared in the camera. "It looks so dazzling. Chinese, kneel down." These short red words were like a thorn that penetrated deeply into the nail seams. From the first sight of the game, they tortured Lee Tongfan repeatedly for more than 60 minutes. It was a heart-wrenching pain. Yes, my motherland is indeed a football desert. Those bloated bureaucrats have always treated football as the shameful balls in their crotch, and they can play with it however they want. But you Spanish bastards, why do you want me to kneel down? Fuck your football powerhouse. Come here, kneel down for me. Kneel down. This was a refreshing catharsis. As early as when Joel Lucas scored, Leoli wanted to counter-attack, but leading by one goal was not a huge advantage, so he endured it. Until this moment, Lee Tongfan could no longer hold back. Holding back urine might cause prostatitis, let alone holding back the rage that was burning and about to explode. Kneel down for me. Lee Tongfan was like a puppet, facing thousands of Mallorca fans, repeatedly screaming the same sentence, until assistant coach Greed covered his face with fear, held up a black umbrella, and dragged him away horizontally. As for why Greed held up an umbrella, you can see it by looking at the angry Mallorca fans in the fruit course. Lighters, mobile phones, hats, shoes, underwear, and panties flying down from the stands. For the sake of plot continuity, this time I will update 2 chapters in a row. Don't wait for the chapter at noon. The 3rd chapter will be around 8 PM. As I said, during the rush to the top, keep everything you can. Chapter 31, Glutton, Lion-039, S Resentment. After 5 or 6 minutes of wonderful drama performance by the young coach of Real Madrid, the referee blew the whistle and the game continued. The Mallorca fans used the loudest decibel noise they could produce to interfere with the performances of the Real Madrid superstars. Manzano stared at the performance on the field with a solemn face. The slight white on his temples revealed that the old man was already a little overwhelmed. On the Real Madrid coaching bench, Lee Tongfan, who had come back to his senses, comforted his thumping little heart while holding the hand of the good guy Grad tightly and almost said with tears in his eyes, "My benefactor. Thanks to my loved ones, the People's Liberation Army. If I had been crazy in front of the Mallorca fans for a few more minutes, I would probably have been hit by the mad Mallorca fans with a crooked nose, a crooked eye, a bloody head, and a smooth ambulance ride to the mall." The emergency center in Loca Island underwent cranial suturing surgery because less than a second after Grad dragged Oldley away, a stupid young man took apart the seats in the stands and threw them down, accurately hitting the turf that Oldley had stepped on. Darling, that's a blockbuster weighing dozens of kilograms. The game on the field has completely entered the channel of the Galacticus. After understanding the reason for the coach's lunatic performance, the players on the field were like chickens, dogs, or ducks, with blood-red eyes and murderous intent to lock Mallorca away. Firmly suppress the opponent's backcourt. The Mallorca coach's tactical arrangement is to play against Real Madrid in the second half, because the old fox has also noticed that when falling behind by 1 goal, it is absolutely impossible to play intensive defense against Real Madrid, which has an outrageous offensive power in the midfield and front court. It's the old man who has eaten arsenic and doesn't want to live anymore. What's more, the Mallorca team has never lacked the blood to compete with strong teams in their veins. Last season, they even defeated the powerful Barcelona with 1 goal in the away game. Put yourself to death and survive. This is the choice of old Fox Manzano. Unfortunately, what he encountered today was an enhanced version of aliens and a group of technologically advanced offensive maniacs. Manzano's decision was like stripping off a lady who had a chance to escape and kicking her into a wolf's den. In the 65th minute, Robinho made a breakthrough pass from the wing. Ruud van Nistelrooy, another forward who had been in good form during the warm-up, headed the ball over the top and finally scored the first official goal after joining Real Madrid. In the 70th minute, Gago intercepted a pass from Argentinian compatriot Igor Barca and sent a through ball. Ronaldo reversed offside and once again passed Mallorca boss Antonio Pats and pushed into the empty goal. In the 79th minute, Santa Casi made a long pass from the backcourt. Ruud van Nistelrooy leaned on the Mallorca defender and headed the ball back. Ronaldo broke out at high speed and performed a hat-trick on the sidelines. Looking at Manzano's trembling, grey-faced old face, Lee Tongfan turned around and asked Greed seriously, "Old Jet, do you think we are bullying others too much?" Grat. The last goal of the game came in stoppage time. Higuain, who came on as a substitute for Ruud van Nistelrooy, capped the game off with a coquettish and perfect long-distance run that was no less impressive than Ronaldo's period. With the fans groaning more sadly than I, Mallorca was completely defeated and even lost their underwear. The head coaches of both teams did not attend the press conference after the game. The Mallorca coach was so angry that he walked away because of the disparity in the score. Lee Tongbum was worried that reporters would catch him in the crazy scene at 60 minutes and asked endless questions. If you say something wrong, you may have to attract kind care from the Spanish Football Association. This guy is scared now. The assistant coaches of the two teams who attended the press conference were all hard-working and good-natured people. They looked at each other cheerfully and smiled, sat in the crowd of reporters, complimented each other a few words, and then announced the end of the press conference. Real Madrid finally swept the mid-range team Mallorca with 6 goals in an away game, getting a good start in the 2006-07 season. Another giant Barcelona had just finished the European Super Cup with Sevilla, so the game would be postponed for 3 days. Real Madrid currently ranks first in the La Liga standings with an advantage of 3 points and 6 winning goals. It is worth mentioning that in the European Super Cup, Barcelona, which was favored by the vast majority of the media, lost in the penalty shootout after playing Sevilla 2-2 in regular time and lost its first valuable goal of the season. A possible crown. After Real Madrid's first game, the football media were clearly divided into 2 groups. Hat-trick. The scariest alien is back. C. The King of Madrid. This is the consequences of contempt. Croatia's new star emerges, and the 20-year-old Sky Master becomes famous in one battle. The cannons of the galactic battleship rumbled in the post-Florentino era, and Mallorca was captured. Assistant Coach Grad assists the loser and passes the first battle thrillingly. The pro-Real Madrid newspapers as and Marca reported at length on the bravery of the alien Ronaldo, who returned from injury, and also introduced the good performance of the newly joined Croatian player Joel Luka in the game this season. Finally, only a few sentences were mentioned about the coach's relatively correct tactical arrangements and substitution adjustments. After winning his first victory, Lee Tongfan happily took out a magnifying glass and carefully summarized the situation, but then his face became long with anger. Because the total number of sentences mentioning Laoli in all the pages was no more than 10 sentences with 40 words, while the number of words praising Ronaldo and Gianluca was at least 10,000 times his. Damn it, even assistant coach Laoji's chance of appearing in newspapers is higher than mine. Is it true that I lack advantages? Although there are many good horses, there are few good horse trainers, but how come I, a good horse, that runs happily and brightly, can't meet a good horse trainer? Resentment, naked resentment. However, soon, the pro Barcelona media Mundo Deportivo and Daily Sports satisfied Laoli's naked jealousy and vanity. These two newspapers happen to be the opposite of Marca and AS. They briefly mentioned Real Madrid's 6-goal victory over Mallorca and Ronaldo's hat-trick, and almost 80% of the space was used to report the first game of Real Madrid's new coach, Foolish Tongli. The ugly appearance of Lee Tongfan when directing Gianluca to attack was fully printed on the front page of the newspaper. In the picture, the Real Madrid coach, who was posing and blushing, waved his arms. His eyes were anxious and urgent, and he seemed to be chased by the deep-sea monster Godzilla behind his buttocks. There is a text explanation below the picture. This is the Foolish Tong. P.S. Xiaodao bows to thank the big guy, 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 and the big guy for their evaluation votes. Thank you. Chapter 32. Saving money for Beckham. At the same time, the picture of Lee Tongfan madly provoking Mallorca fans after Ronaldo's first goal was also reproduced in detail, and even Catalonia's local sports TV station repeatedly played this picture during prime time that night. In his column, Flores even pretended to be an ordinary fan, and made the most severe criticism of Lee Tongfan's move. It's really unimaginable that such an ugly scene would happen in La Liga. Real Madrid's new coach made such a vulgar and poor performance that I couldn't believe my eyes. I think the football team should take the most severe punishment for such viciousness. Severe punishment thanks to Crowmouth Flores. 3 days later, Lee Tongfan received a fine of up to £44,000 from the Spanish Football Association. He had just received his weekly salary that was still warm in his pocket. With a look of despair, it flew into the bank account of the Football Association. Of course, the Mallorca club also paid a price for the provocative behavior of the fans. The fine of €100,000 also made Mallorca club president grant him Mahij. At the same time, the Mallorca team was punished by not allowing fans to enter the stadium for the next 3 consecutive home match days. In fact, the punishment given to Lee Tongfan is very light. According to the regulations of the Spanish Football Association, whether it is a player or a head coach, any behavior that provokes fans during the game will generally be additionally suspended. Fortunately, the Mallorca fans were the first to put up slogans that insulted the Chinese people, and at the same time, Lee Tongfan's loyal doglegs Marca's new reporter Ruben published many articles to defend Laoli after carefully collecting information. Coupled with the vigorous operation of the Real Madrid club's top management, Lee Tongfan escaped the penalty of suspension. However, even though Lee Tongfan was heartbroken because of the loss of a large amount of the source of evil, he said in an interview with reporters afterwards that he had no regrets. The next time the Bernabeu meets Mallorca, Antonio Paz will definitely come out of the door. The number of times I picked up the ball exceeded single digits. The dragon has reverse scales and will be killed if touched. I, Lee Tongfan, am just an angry young man who got lucky. Even if you stuff your labor and wages into the toilet and flush your bowels, I will just curse a few times and the problem will be over. But if you want to insult my motherland, try it. Come here. This has nothing to do with football. In distant China, a large-scale online debate that lasted for nearly a month finally settled after the first round of La Liga. Countless lovely fans rubbed their sleepy faces while staying up late to watch Real Madrid's first game broadcast on CCTV5, risking being scolded by their parents, wives, girlfriends, being annoyed by their sons, being scolded by their wives, etc. My eyes screamed. There was indeed an oriental face sitting on the Real Madrid coaching bench. Therefore, Fan Zhuang, known as the unscrupulous prostitute with the most unprofessional ethics in history, tearfully confessed his injustice after being criticized verbally and written by fans across the country for more than 20 days. The International Sports Forum on the Sohu website was also overwhelmed by the continuous posts from fans. The 5 telephone hotlines of CCTV became a veritable hotline. Fans who were ecstatically surprised were unable to answer the call after dialing for more than 10 hours. When the phone went through, I threw the phone and cursed my mother. After hesitating for a month, CCTV finally made up its mind and sent a reporter to Madrid, Spain to interview this wealthy Chinese coach who suddenly jumped out of the cracks of the stone like a monkey. Amidst the hustle and bustle of the world, Lee Tongfan happily stayed in his room and started the long-planned Beckham transformation plan through Fei Luo's recent performance on the court. Lee Tongfan was now completely sure that his original intention of revising was correct. After careful consideration again, Leo Lee decided to start revising immediately. The reason is very simple. In the third round of the league, Real Madrid will go to Camp Nou to challenge their old enemy Barcelona. Young Shota Gago is too young. If he continues to serve as the team's single midfielder in the El Clasico, then think about it with his toes. You can get the result. Even if you think about it, Barcelona's terrifying midfield attack group led by Ronaldinho will crush the pink and tender little Gago like a bulldozer, chewing like a hungry wolf, and there will be no bones left in an instant. In that case, Real Madrid will only face a disastrous defeat. As long as Flaws, a sinister person who harms others and does not benefit himself, is caught, then Lee Tongfan will probably have to swim back to his motherland from the Mediterranean with his skinny ribs and red briefs. Leo Lee doesn't want to be the cutlery on the legendary coffee table. He took out his fourth-hand IBM T30 and first clicked on FM 2007 to read the archive. Just when Lee Tongfan was still thinking about how to modify Beckham's related attributes, the system seemed to have an alarm clock aligned with the time, and there was a chaos of ding dong ding dong. Thinking about it, countless reminder boxes popped up on the screen that made Lee Tongfan want to die. You have received the gratitude of Real Madrid player Vedran Gianluca, and the system will reward you with 2 character points. You led the team to victory against the La Liga team Mallorca, and the system will reward you with 2 character points. After 1 week of system operation, the system will automatically deduct 2 character points. Fuck. Posted again. Calm down. Calm down. Be calm. Lee Tongfan calculated carefully with his fingers. After adding and subtracting, he found that he still had 99 character points left, basically maintaining a balanced financial balance. If you think about it this way, it's easy to make money by spending money, but I thought about it again. No, I was almost fooled by this abominable superficial illusion. I didn't consume many character points, but this harmonious situation was mainly formed because I didn't cheat on a large scale. For example, in this away game against Mallorca, Federated States of Micronesia 2007 only used 1 simulation to get a 6:0 victory result. But what if it was against a strong team like Barcelona? How many times would I have to save the game repeatedly? I remember that on the forum of the FM series of games, a wretched buddy who chose the mid-level Premier League team Newcastle posted a post with snot and tears, saying that he drank 9 bottles of Wang Laoji and stayed up until dawn and read the game more than 50 times before defeating the Giants Arsenal. That's more than 50 abnormal saves. If this situation occurs in the current La Liga, then our Laoli will become a big tableau firmly after more than 50 abnormal and repeated saves, and puts them into this insidious infinite flow system on his computer. It means that 100 points of character points will wave goodbye to Laoli. Thinking of this, Lee Tongfan's big head that has expanded like popcorn has shrunk back a lot. It seems that he has to keep a low profile. Having set the tone of cheating, saving money and living frugally, Lee Tongfan began to modify Beckham. PS. Regarding the specific use of the modifier, the second brother Beiji and many enthusiastic readers have put forward valuable opinions, especially the one about whether the modification of the potential of older players can work, which is quite controversial. Regarding Beckham and Ronaldo, we still have to take the knife route for the time being, because how to change it into other modification methods, on the one hand, does not match the previous plot, and on the other hand, it will have a slight impact on the later conception of the knife. The use of the modifier will change as the pig's feet grow up. Thank you for your suggestions. Chapter 33 Loyalty 104 Potential 300. Click on FM millimeters, data modifier, to read the game in progress, then search for Beckham. After a while, the data in the basic situation category of Beckham is clearly visible. Potential: 180 current ability, 164 domestic reputation, 85.99 international reputation, 85.99 net worth, 8,610,008 unit pounds physical condition, 10,000 competitive condition, 10,000 old. Lee took a quick look. To be honest, among the famous stars, Beckham's data is not dazzling, and it can even be said to be low. It seems that the system is not very optimistic about the elderly popular boy. However, these are not problems, because old Lee accidentally discovered a data that surprised him. Loyalty 100. Is it so possible? Lee Tongfan clearly remembered that even Joel, Luca and Ronaldo, who had been given special treatment by Lee Tongfan, had a loyalty of only more than 60 to him. Why did Beckham, who had not tasted the sweetness yet, reach 100? Touched. So touching, Lee Tongfan decided to modify Beckham. We can't let the direct line feel disappointed, right? So Lee gritted his teeth and spent a little character points to modify Beckham's potential to 300. Then he continued to observe Beckham's other important data in the ability category: injury tendency, 25, big competition, 80, prediction, 69, creativity, 84, determination, 95, teamwork, 89, game investment, 97. In this category, Lee Tongfan decided to modify only the injury tendency item, because Beckham's potential value had been modified before. So in addition to the injury tendency in the ability category, the values of other items will automatically increase with the amount of training and morality, so there is no need to waste character points for the evil forces such as injury tendency. Lee Tongfan did not hesitate to modify it, and changed it directly to 0. Then it's time for the heavyweight part of this first beast waste development plan, the modification of the goalkeeping and position category. Only after modifying the position ability value will the heartthrob transform from an English-style winger to a player capable of competing with Gago and Diarra for jobs. The goalkeeping attribute is naturally not considered. In the position attribute, Beckham's current data is goalkeeper, 1 sweeper, 1 defender, 1 defensive midfielder, 10 midfielder, 10 offensive midfielder, 15 forward, 1 fullback, 6 libero, 1 left, 15 right, 18 center. 10. Lee Tongfan didn't think twice and directly clicked the mouse to modify. Increase defensive midfielder from 10 to 20. Increase midfielder from 10 to 20. Increase offensive midfielder from 15 to 20. Increase center from 10 to 20. The above modification consumes 4 points of character points in total, plus 2 points of character points for modifying potential and injury tendency. This modification consumes 6 points of quick acting hard saving pills of Leoli. There are 93 points left, the character points that were hard to earn, but they were said goodbye before they were warm in Lee Tongfan's pocket. But Leoli was very happy, just for Ziobo's incredible 100 points of loyalty. These 6 points of character points were worth it. On August 29th, there is still one day before Real Madrid will play against Getafe at home in the next round of the league. Real Madrid just finished the game with Mallorca on the 27th, only 3 days apart. A veritable double game in 1 week. Assistant coach Greed complained bitterly. Just taking the bus back and forth from Mallorca Island, more than a day had to be spent on boring sightseeing on the highway. On the 28th, the players took a routine break. On the morning of the 29th, they had physical recovery training and tactical drills in the afternoon. Under Lee Tongfan's insistence, Beckham appeared in the team's defensive midfielder position. His performance changed from being at a loss at the beginning to becoming more and more comfortable. When the tactical drill ended in the afternoon, Beckham actually assisted Ronaldo and Raul twice each in the team simulated confrontation. The success rate of midfield interception reached an astonishing 66%, and he made 13 effective tackles. This is definitely an atypical Beckham. Whether it is the players or the staff, they all looked at Lee Tongfan standing on the side of the training field with an incredible look. Everyone knows what Beckham has been doing these days, when the heartthrob crosses his legs and takes a deep breath with a determined face, or sits in the locker room and twists his fingers into a twist, or stands upside down against the wall, while muttering something in his mouth. Everyone will cover their mouths and laugh secretly, thinking in their hearts, David will not offend the boss. How can there be such a training method? But today, Beckham's performance made them feel embarrassed and helpless. The black statue standing by the training ground suddenly rose to 1,000 feet in everyone's mind, and the smarter ones began to think about how to get a striker's terrifying goal-scoring method or winger's invincible breakthrough. Passing and dribbling from the head coach. Introduce your beautiful sister to the boss. Buy a few bottles of Maute, which is said to be loved by all Chinese people, as a bribe. Let's get some boxes of melatonin, a golden partner. The players' eyes turned green when they looked at Lee Tongfan, as if a wild cat that had been wandering for more than half a month suddenly found a fat and trembling salmon in front of them. Of course, there are exceptions. The physical coach Angelo Mida is just the opposite. He feels like he is the fat and trembling salmon lying on the knife board waiting for Lee Tongfan's dissection. At about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, the tactical training ended. In order to ensure the physical strength of the players, Lee Tongfan waved his hand, completely ignoring the flirtatious glances from assistant coach Grad, and gave the superstars a half-day holiday. They will gather at the Madrid Sports City before 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Gray's eyes were numb with embarrassment, but he did not stop the idiot from saying amnesty to the world after his vanity was greatly satisfied, and said anxiously, Lee, tomorrow is a home game, just in case nothing goes wrong. Just Getafe. The hot guy can win with his eyes closed. Lee Tongfan gritted his teeth. Let Schuster, that German piece of wood, know who is better. Grad suddenly realized that this man had a rivalry with Getafe head coach Schuster, but considering Schuster's previous arrogance, it's no wonder. So what did the former German midfielder say that made Leo Lee so fond of him? P.S. The opinions of the editors about the modifier are all good, but Xiaodao wants them to be implemented slowly. Regarding the potential issue mentioned by the second senior brother Beiji, let Xiaodao be stubborn for a moment. It's so hard to be number one on the new book list. It's just a little bit closer every time. How about you give me some face and let Xiaodao be number one for a few minutes? To recommend a fantasy masterpiece by a friend, you can go to Myomio chapter 34. The Imperial Court sends a special interview team. I think I'm better than a loser and more suitable to be the head coach of Real Madrid. In the following direct dialogue, I will prove this to the world. These are Schuster's original words when interviewed by a reporter from the Spanish national television sports channel. There is a reason why the Germans say this. After the end of last season, Real Madrid conducted a large-scale coach audition. Italian Capello and German Schuster were both popular candidates. Schuster himself once thought that he was a sure shot at joining Real Madrid. Who knew that Lee Tongfan, the Devil King Cheng Yeojin, would appear halfway and seize the golden rice bowl that he was about to get? It would be a lie to say that he didn't hate it. Lee Tongfan was very angry about this, since the media cannot change the genetic decision to eat shit. It's okay to always stir up trouble and steal. You said that you are the head coach of his team who can't beat him, so what are you talking about? We are all people who feed off the coach. Can we be more harmonious? Would you like to have some professional ethics? Besides, are you better than a bastard? If this sentence were to be known to great Chinese netizens thousands of miles away, it would definitely be selected into this year's top 10 quotations for brainless people. There are many better people than idiots. You, Schuster, who dare to say it so blatantly and confidently, are still in history. First person. It was only then that Lee Tongfan discovered that the little hat given to him by the Spaniards was a weapon that could be used against others. Back at his residence, Lee Tongfan felt a headache when he looked at the empty refrigerator and the messy room. It seemed that the house was too big and there were disadvantages. At least if you wanted to clean it, you would have to spend half a day. It's not like living in a small room of less than 20 square meters before, where a fart could blow away all the dust. You have to find a housekeeping company to hire an hourly worker or maid. Lee Tongfan thought about it briefly and thought that this was the wisest decision. It would only cost a few copper coins, and it could also improve the quality of life. After all, we are now high-level wage earners with a weekly salary. We can't be too chin cages a person, right? But it was too late today, so Lee Tongfan decided to go to the Chinese barbecue restaurant called Meet Me 1,000 miles away to have a dinner together. At this time someone's calling. Master, the call is coming. The phone. Why don't you answer the phone? The phone rang, and the childish voice went crazy. Lee Tongfan hurriedly answered the phone. This ringtone only appeared on the phone calls of domestic friends. Who could it be? Coach. Lee, I'm a loser. Why don't you come out and have a meal? Lee Tongfan was delighted. It was Fan Zhuang's phone number. When I was in college, there were two unlucky guys in my class who were nicknamed Ding Bong. One was me, and the other was Fan Zhuang. But this grandson has never called himself a foodie. Why is he so low-key today? Showing courtesy for nothing is either cheating or stealing. Reporter Fanda disappeared from the Spanish football world. Why did he pop up today like a fake corpse? With curiosity, Lee Tongfan came to the place agreed on the phone. Coincidentally, the place Fan Zhuang had booked was destined to meet thousands of miles away. Point in the box. Lee Tongfan saw the skinny Fan Zhuang and was shocked. You just came back from Ethiopia? How did you end up like this? It's not because of you. The reporter from Fan University cried with snot and tears. In order to report on you, labor and management have been soaked in the spit of all Chinese netizens for almost a month. As he spoke, Fan Zhuang patted his forehead, pointed at the four people sitting next to him, and introduced to Lee Tongfan. These are my new colleagues, CCTV staff, here to interview you. Damn it, CCTV. This is the Imperial Court of the Celestial Dynasty, where I'm the first and second best. You actually sent someone to interview me. Is there smoke rising from my ancestral grave? Lee Tongfan was stunned and suddenly realized that our status was different now. As the first person to coach a wealthy family in the country, he was indeed qualified to let the court do the errands. Fan Zhuang pointed to the elegant middle-aged man at the front and began to introduce them one by one. This is a leader of the interview team, Helen Shan. The beautiful lady next to him is Zeduo Xiaoqing, Sister Zeduo. These two are Ding Lei and Zhang Yu, both straightforward men. Lee Tongfan carefully put on an expression on his face and nodded to say hello as Fan Zhuang introduced him. After all, this is the Imperial Court, so we have to be careful to follow up. If we get into trouble, we might report this interview when we go back. Lee became a public enemy. I have nothing wrong with me. If my upright and honest parents see my evil behavior on TV, then my father, a party member, will probably have to travel across the ocean to improve himself regardless of the arthritis in his knees that he has suffered for more than 30 years. Improve your son's party spirit and break his dog legs at the same time. Team leader He Lanshan wears a pair of thick-rimmed black glasses and looks gentle in his words, making it easy for people to like him. The only female compatriot, Zeduo Xiaoqing, is in her early 20s, probably a location host, dressed in a t-shirt and jeans. Her appearance is not stunning, but her delicate eyebrows and delicate eyes have a softness unique to Jiangnan women, giving her a well-behaved and comfortable feeling. As for Zhang Yu and Ding Lei, they are both over 1.8 meters tall, with big shoulders and round waists. They should be camera operators or something like that. Their personalities are a bit familiar, and indeed, as Fan Zhuang said, they are all straightforward men. He Lanshan is a very easygoing person. His words are humorous, and he is very good at stimulating the atmosphere at the dinner table. Therefore, within 10 minutes of the few people sitting down, laughter kept coming from the box. After the food was served, He Lanshan picked up the wine glass in his hand and greeted Lee Tongfan with a smile. Brother, a hero comes from a young age. You have really gained some face for our Chinese football. With this glass of wine, brother, I'm just an ordinary fan. I respect you. Lee Tongfan thought about it for a long time and came up with a sentence that was more in line with the temperament of a party member's father. Well, it's all taught by the party. Puff Fan Zhuang just drank the tea in his mouth and sprayed it all over the floor. Zeduo King also covered his mouth and smiled. He Lanchan was also happy. I didn't expect my brother to be so humorous, but that's just a joke, isn't it? I understand your concerns, brother. Don't worry, our CCTV will not gossip like those local stations. This conversation today is not the intrigue between the reporter and the interviewee. Lanchan pushed up his glasses frame, pointed at several other people and continued, we are all fans, real fans. I heard that the station is going to send people to interview you, and it took a lot of effort to get it done. Brother, to be honest, you are too shameless for us. Well, the topic was a bit heavy. Tongfan decided to distract everyone, picked up a piece of chicken leg, and said with a flattering smile, well, the beef in this restaurant tastes very good. Fake. Does a chicken leg taste like beef? Fan Zhuang now really wants to kill this bastard who pretended to be crazy in front of his new boss. PS. Signed by A. It's like a dream. Thank you guys for supporting the knife. On the first day, someone rewarded me, and there was actually a young and fat god who performed a miracle, and the knife floated. Thank you to the Undead Knight for your review vote. Thank you to the Nannery Master, the Dragon in the Rain, the Fat God of Early Years, and the Red Flame Wing for your awards. As for the first day, forget it, because this shameless guy's actually Ziodeo's vest. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35. The leader also drank too much. Fan Zhuang now really wants to kill this bastard who pretended to be crazy in front of his new boss. Lanchan was not angry. He picked up the wine glass and smiled slightly. It seems that I was frightened by my colleagues in Spain. Let's do it this way. Let's just talk about romance today, regardless of state affairs. I'll do it first, brother. As he spoke, he raised his glass and drank it with a BIU sound, and then lit up the bottom of the glass. This Lanchan is an old fox, and he has long seen the concerns in Tongfan's heart. Point to be honest, Leoli is really scared by the Spanish newspapers. Every big ass sentence will expand 10,000 times in their hands, especially Flaws, a sinister man. You have to be the first to say anything he says. Put it in the washing machine to dehydrate for several hours to remove the water. Leoli's initial excitement has long since been reduced to boredom with the back and forth bickering. The Imperial Court that came back this time was not a fuel efficient lamp. In the past, it could even fabricate shameless news like stuffed buns with newspaper stuffing. How dare Leoli dig into his heart when he meets her? Since we are not talking about state affairs, Tongfan can at least feel half relieved. Point as the old saying goes, there are 4 joys in life: the night of flowers and candles in the wedding room, the time when the gold medal is named, the rain after a long drought, and meeting an old friend in a foreign land. Being able to have a meal with compatriots in a small restaurant in Madrid today is a great joy for Tongfan, who has been dealing with old Europeans all day long. It can be regarded as meeting an old friend in a foreign land, so Leoli is still very happy. As soon as Tongfan got into the mood, others were naturally easy to talk to, and the wine table became lively again. The elegant beauty Zeduo King smiled brightly, and picked up the wine glass. Coach Lee, I would like to give you a drink. You have to give me some face. After saying that, he drank it all in one breath. Tongfan took a breath. This little girl is also a master who hides everything. You must know that today, in order to get a taste of hometown, the wine that Fan Zhuang ordered was BJ's Boutique Red Star Guotao. After drinking this glass, even a 3-foot man with a small capacity for alcohol would feel dizzy for a while, but Zeduo King's face did not change color after drinking, and his heart stopped beating. But when we, Leoli, were in college, we were considered the #1 person at the wine table. Naturally, we couldn't show weakness in front of beautiful women, so we simply drank 3 glasses of wine in a row. Okay, the male compatriots cheered loudly. Wine is indeed the lubricant of interpersonal communication. After 2 or 3 glasses of wine, the atmosphere in the box reached a climax. Tongfan, who was wearing cool clothes in front of the Real Madrid superstars, gradually revealed the long suppressed boredom in his heart. True color, brothers, are so good. 5 leaders are so awesome. 8 horses. 6. The wine table culture with Chinese characteristics is spreading. 5 men are holding wine bottles and making fists. Zhuo King is pouring wine for everyone with a smile. The mountains and rivers of the motherland are red in the box, and there is great harmony. After 3 rounds of drinking, several people drank 7 or 8 bottles of the 56-degree Red Star Guo as if it were boiled water. Li Tongfan did not dare to continue drinking. If this continued, he would probably have to belch and erect the game on the coaching bench tomorrow. Maybe his old enemy Flaws will grab his pigtails and spray him violently. Brothers. Li Tongfan was so drunk that he even changed his title. That's it for today. Let's go to the Bernabeu tomorrow to kill Schuster, the grinning old dog. It won't be too late to celebrate when we come back. Fan Zhuan really collapsed this time, and his face turned green. If he had known that Li Tongfan's wine was so bad, he would have ordered Red Star Guo. Now, he made a big fool of himself in front of his new boss He Lanshan. Unexpectedly, the elegant and handsome He Lanshan stood up with the empty Guo bottle, slapped his nose without grace, and laughed loudly. Brother, you are so brave. My eyes are open this time. You can go over and kill the dog's head. The labor and management are cheering and cheering for you in the audience. The emotional leader also drank too much. Now even the well-behaved Zhuo King got under the table with his head covered with black hair, and the leader's wine was not good. Real Madrid's home match against Getafe will start on time at 22 p.m. local time on August 30th, Spain. This game is also seen as a direct contest between German Schuster and Lee. Schuster's declaration of challenge during an interview with reporters caused the media to focus their reports on the 2 coaches. On top of personal grudges, reporters come to Madrid Sports City from time to time to ask for an interview, hoping that he can talk about his views on Schuster. Labor and management are very dissatisfied with this narrow-minded German. However, Leoli, who has learned a lot from the experience, still sensibly covered his mouth as big as a watering can. These reporters are extremely capable of confusing right and wrong. As long as you give him a ray of sunshine, he can cover the icebergs of the North and South Poles melted. Therefore, Li Tongfan refused all excuses for the team to close training. In fact, because Li Tongfan gave the stars a day off in excitement yesterday, there was no training anywhere. There were very few people at the Madrid City training ground on the morning of the 30th. A group of unknown birds even landed on the grass, jumping around and pecking at grass seeds freely. Li Tongfan came to Madrid Sports City at 10 o'clock in the morning. Yesterday, he drank too much with his compatriots from Cheoting Terrace. After 9 o'clock in the morning, he couldn't fall asleep. He had nothing to do at his residence and went out for a walk. Just arrived at the training ground. What surprised Leoli was that there were actually players practicing extra on the court. On the slightly empty training ground, the sound of the football hitting the goal frame and the net can be clearly heard. The figure with long blonde hair undulating with sweat keeps shooting, picking up the ball, running back and forth, then shooting again, and picking up the ball again. Li Tongfan walked a little closer and found that the player who was training extra was the 20-year-old Croatian Luka Modric, the attacking midfielder. He insisted on bringing him from Dinamo Zagreb. For the young Modric. Since that afternoon more than a month ago, from the moment he was called into the office by Dinamo coach Ivankovic, his career has completely changed. Joining the star-studded Real Madrid is like a dream for him. Although he was a main player of Dynamo and became famous in Croatia and was fortunate to join the national team and participate in the just concluded World Cup in Germany, Modric is still very conservative. In planning his career, it would be best if he could make a name for himself in the Eredivisie, Portugal and other European secondary mainstream leagues like other Croatian players, and then enter the top 5 leagues. If he could join a top club once in his career like his predecessor Davisuka, it would be the highest honor for Croatian players, but fate often arranges a surprise that you never dare to hope for at the corner you least expect. P.S. There are so many rewards from the fans on the first day, which makes Daozi so excited, happy and terrified. The first on the new book list, Daozi bows to thank the fans for their support. I won't say anything more. Let's continue typing. One more nonsense. Italy makes Daozi collapse. Chapter 36. Good news and bad news. Happiness comes to young people in the blink of an eye. When Real Madrid sent out an invitation from the sky, young Modric signed the contract without thinking. No player can refuse Real Madrid's call. Modric thought happily, even if he goes to the Bernabeu as a substitute, that's it. An honor. After joining Real Madrid, Modric realized that he was like a little duck among the swans. Among the star-studded superstars, he was a rustic country bumpkin, and he was looked at with suspicion wherever he went. The pressure is heavier than a mountain. Heavier than a mountain. Fortunately, the person who advocated the introduction of himself and veteran has been giving opportunities to young players. Whether it is a warm-up match or a formal game, he will always get a chance to play. If Modric is a Chinese, then he will definitely. I wonder if smoke is also rising from my ancestral grave. The road to fame has beckoned to him, but if he wants to become a superstar like his idol Davisuka, he cannot rely solely on the help of others. Although that person has opened a window for himself, but he really wants to take the outside world. Once you have a panoramic view of the beauty of the world, you still have to take the initiative to open your eyes and see. A woman looks good to one who pleases her, and a scholar dies for a confidant. Of course Modric knows how much pressure that person is feeling now. Both the media and the fans are waiting to see his jokes, as if that person is not ruined, it will be as ridiculous as the Pope in the Vatican converting to God. Work hard, practice, work harder, practice, practice, practice again, and you see your performance on the field to give that person the strongest support. Modric didn't realize that man was now standing on the sidelines of the training ground looking at him. Tongfan had been standing by the training ground watching Modric train for more than an hour. He was still smelling of alcohol. He stretched out his hand to pull on the wire fence and blew in the cool morning breeze, which made his stomach churn. The brutal strength is gradually suppressed. Watching Modric kick the ball back and forth, Leoli remembered his youthful years, reciting Tang poems under a kerosene lamp and reading vocabulary in a small dark room. On the way of growing up, some people restrained and others indulged, no matter what they gained, was sour or bitter, sweet. It's all the result of planting your own seeds. Tongfan decided to give this young man more opportunities in the future. With the potential of 189 and a level of hard work that would put even Beckham to shame, there is no natural reason for failure. You have the right not to use it. It will become invalid upon expiration. Since you have the power to change the fate of others, there is no harm in being a cheap savior. Tongfan did not interrupt Modric's training and went straight to his office. Alex, Calderon's personal translator, was sitting on the guest chair in the office waiting for him. Tongfan then quickly scanned the blonde girl's measurements up and down while feeling slightly drunk. Well, after not seeing each other for a few days, he became quite angry again. Dear Mr. Rice Tong, the ecstasy female translator winked. I have good news and bad news. Which one do you want to hear first, Lee? Tongfan turned around and poured a glass of water for the girl and put it on the table. I only want to hear good news, not bad news. Alex chuckled, took out a document from his bag and handed it to Tongfan. Benfica is willing to introduce central defender Misha, who is not in your tactical system, for 2 million euros. I think you will be willing to accept it at this price. As for the bad news, no club has expressed interest in Pavin and Hilguber. Mr. Chairman, I hope you can keep them in the club. This is fucking bad news. Tongfan frowned. After a month of contact, Leoli already fully understood what Pavin and Helgra were. In the words of Chinese fans, these two buddies are said to be direct descendants of the aerial kick sect. According to statistics from FM 2007, there is a 25% chance that the two of them will miss when they use their big kicks to clear the ball. For defenders, this is a fatal number. The poor technique is tolerable, but the poor quality of the game makes people grit their teeth. These people all come from Real Madrid's youth training, and they have fully developed the noble style of making the club their home. They have always played the role of parents in front of the new players. Tongfan will never allow such rat shit to exist in the team. Since he can't buy it, then go to Castilla and stay. Seeing that Leoli was resolute, Alex knew that what he was saying was useless. He was just a small translator and could just bring the words to him. Let them resolve the matters between the big shots themselves. With a wink, Alex walked back with a catwalk that was more coquettish than Fenielio's running on the court, to convey Lee Tongfan's intention to Calderon Point in the Madrid region. There are 3 La Liga teams: Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid and Getafe. Point compared with traditional giants like Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, Getafe can only be regarded as a not so strong little brother. Compared with the 2 strong elder brothers, they have suffered a lot since the day they were born. Getafe, founded in 1976, is the youngest team among the 20 teams in La Liga. The only results it has achieved are 3rd place in the Spanish Football League B2 in 1988, Spain in 1990 and 1994. The runner-up of the Spanish Football League B1 League, the 1999 Spanish Football League Group B1 League champion, and the runner-up of the Spanish Football League B1 in 2004. But if you underestimate this team from a satellite city of Madrid, you'll be fooled. Getafe is a well-known nemesis of the giants in the La Liga. In the short 2 or 3 years since Getafe was promoted to La Liga, they have defeated teams like Barcelona, Sevilla and Valencia several times. The quality of the dark horse cannot be any darker. A little after 10 o'clock in the evening of August 30th, Santiago Bernabeu Stadium, the match between Real Madrid and Getafe at home is in progress. The noisy stadium is like the tide of the Strait of Malacca. The boos from Real Madrid fans in the stands let passers-by 1 kilometer away from the stadium know that Real Madrid is now behind. Yes, less than a minute after the game started, the blitzkrieg carefully planned by German Schuster worked. Getafe sees the characteristics of Real Madrid's desperate offensive this season and insidiously chose the kickoff right when flipping a coin. Then after a simple and disgusting long pass from the backcourt, striker Veljko Paunovic headed the ball, and midfielder Nacho shot the ball and hit a world wave. Casillas, who was standing a little forward, failed to save it. Getafe temporarily led 1:0. Real Madrid assistant coach Greed sat in the coaching seat dumbfounded. PS. Thank you for the rewards from Canigan Bobo, Yihai Mengd, Li Changao, Shuayao 09080522064970, Banshee Iron, MOQQ $. Achu, Cheyenne Bayo dialing. Thanks to the omnipotent god for helping Xiaodao find the typos. Xiaodao will correct them in the evening. Chapter 37. The Happy German Wood. Lee Tongfan was also a little depressed, since he had known that something like this would happen. After simulating the game with the FM 2007 system last night, when Lee Tongfan was arranging tactics in the locker room before the game, he specifically emphasized to the stars to pay attention to the opponent's forward Wei K. Paunovic and midfielder Nakiro, who knew that these high-paid hammers would still be slapped hard by the opponent's minions. Are the results of system simulation really unchangeable? This is so fucked. Amid the boos from the fans, Leoli angrily smashed the mineral water bottle in his hand on the edge of the court. The south stand of the Bernabeu Stadium has always been a gathering place for die-hard Real Madrid fans. After the goal was lost, the fans immediately displayed a Chinese banner in the stand. Lee, a 6:0 is not enough. You need to continue to prove it to us. It seems that the big score in the last away game against Mallorca made the fans retain some patience with Leoli, but the fans' patience is limited. If this home game goes badly, the content of the banner may have to be changed to some greetings for immediate family members that are not suitable for children. After conceding the ball, Real Madrid immediately launched a counter-attack, once holding Getafe in the half-court and launching a half-court attack and defense. However, German Schuster's tactics were very reasonable. He was not conservative after taking a 1-goal lead and frequently used long passes to threaten Real Madrid. The huge gap left by fullbacks Ramos and Marcelo after assisting. Judging from the current situation on the court, Schuster is right. He is indeed better than the loser. The two teams were fighting back and forth, like barbarians in a life and death struggle in the ring, punching into the flesh without giving in. The leaders of the two teams, Casillas and Abondanchili, became the busiest people on the field. The fans gasped one after another like a giant exhaust fan in operation. Schuster sat on the coaching bench with a satisfied smile. "Dear Mr. Calderon in the box, you must have regretted it now, right?" In the 35th minute of the first half, Lee Tongfan's chance to prove himself finally arrived when Robinho broke through with the ball 10 meters in front of Getafe's penalty area. He was hit by a flash and shadowless kick from the opponent's Spanish centre-back Alexis. He immediately fell to the ground heartbroken. Rolling on the ground, the referee Perez Brewer fell from the sky and simply rewarded the Spanish defender who loves Chinese martial arts with a Ruby God of War card. Alexis left the court directly, ascended to the fairyland, and went to the locker room to wash up. Asleep, the young Brazilian Robinho risked his entire family and won a direct free kick in the front court for Real Madrid, but he was carried off the field on a stretcher by the staff point. Although he knew from the FM07 system simulation last night that the injury was not serious, in order to show the coach's meticulous care for his players, Lee Tongfan still pretended to run past Haosheng and comforted the black man who was holding his little brother with both hands. "Handsome boy, by the way, I made the most severe protest to the referee and the fourth official, because the classmate Beckham, who is known as the full moon scimitar, and the classmate Roberto Carlos, the powerful cannon king, were left on the bench in this game by Lee Tongbium, who was interested in cultivating new players. So when Getafe players, after lining up the wall, the Real Madrid superstars didn't know who should take the free kick, just when the alien Fede Luo, whose free kick value reached 15 in FM 2007, was about to go up and try his feet, he heard the head coach shouting Modric's name loudly on the sidelines and pointing at the football while shouting. The players understood. "Lee Tongfan, I want Modric to take this free kick." Fede Luo, who had been grateful to Lee Tongfan for a long time, immediately changed his mind and happily ran over and patted Modric on the shoulder. "I will punish you with the head penalty, and I will give you the chance to shine." Modric tried his best to put on a smile that was uglier than crying on his tense and stiff face. He pursed his lips and slowly walked to stand in front of the football. In fact, the Croatian young shot wanted to take the free kick from the beginning, because this angle and distance were within the range he was familiar with. However, there were so many stars and experts in the team that he, a newcomer who had just joined, had better keep a low profile. Unexpectedly, Modric glanced at the coach who was jumping up and down on the sidelines shouting his name. "The opportunity has come. This goal must be scored. Not for myself." Inhale, exhale, let your noisy heart slowly calm down, and then take a running approach, rubbing the ball with the arch of your feet. The white ball, like an enchanting beauty, firmly attracted the eyes of the 75,238 fans in the audience, drew a coquettish arc in the air, and then fell. Goal. Luka Modric, the player who just joined this season, has saved his job. The commentator on the scene yelled crazily with a tenor that even Pavarotti was ashamed of. First half in 35 minutes, Real Madrid equalized. There was a roaring tsunami at the Bernabeu Stadium, and everyone was shouting the same name following the passionate commentator. Luka, Luka, Luka. When Lee Tongfan saw the football rushing into the net, he excitedly clenched his fist and waved it hard. "Damn it, I'm catching up by 1 point, and I'm going to kill you as a defender. Let's see if labor and management can't kill you, you German piece of wood." Luka Modric kept staring at the ball going into the net, then turned around to look at the referee, and after confirming that it was a real goal, he immediately put into action the celebration action he had thought of in his mind. So Leoli was miserable and became a prop for the goal celebration again. Modric rushed over at lightning speed and hugged Lee Tongfan and spun him 3 times. Just like what veteran Joel Luka did after scoring a header against Mallorca in the previous game. He wanted to let everyone at the scene know how grateful he was to Leoli, but Leoli really didn't have the blessing this time. After being shaken by Luka Modric like a hula hoop for a few times, the alcohol that he had suppressed with great difficulty in the morning surged into the net again. In the surprised eyes of everyone, he broke free in a few seconds and ran into the locker room. Modric was stunned. "Did I do something wrong? PS. Thank you for the tips. I can't count them all." To express my gratitude to you all, I will publish a single chapter later to honor you. In addition, brothers, why do you all vote for 12,000 to urge for more updates? I can't get 12,000, even if I code hard. I'm so jealous. Fortunately, there is a big guy who voted for 3,000 drops. Thank you. Finally, please vote. You can't have children, even if you keep it. Chapter 38 The hustle and bustle before the national derby. The game continued. After Lee Tongfan cleaned up the inventory in his stomach, he immediately ran to the sidelines to make a long-planned substitution adjustment. He replaced the injured Brazilian boy Robinho with Higuain, and replaced him with the brand new Beckham replaces Argentinian young shot Gago. The next game is the Spanish El Clasico, and it is an away game, so it is better to let Beckham get used to the feeling of playing in the midfielder position in advance, so as not to use his feet as a winger in the Nou Camp. After all, modifiers are not omnipotent. At this time, the first half of the game was not over yet, and Fanley once again showed everyone his bastard side that doesn't play by the rules. On the Getafe coaching bench, Schuster felt humiliated, and his face turned red like a dehydrated red apple. The subsequent game was a complete tragedy for Schuster. Getafe, whose main centre back was sent down, was like a warrior who had his armor stripped off and his shield smashed. In a confrontation with a high damage, high output swordsman like Real Madrid, he was completely at a disadvantage. As a result, in the completely different expressions of Schuster and Lee Tongfan, the Real Madrid fans at the scene burst into cheers again and again. The commentator was so excited that he shouted at the top of his golden voice, which was comparable to Pavarotti. Almost lost his voice. The game ends. The score is 6:1. Modric made 3 passes and 1 shot. Ronaldo scored another goal. Higuain and Raul each scored a goal. When the referee Perez Brewer announced the end of the game with 1 short and 3 long whistles, the most serious tsunami erupted at the Bernabeu Stadium. I don't know who took the lead. The young ladies of Real Madrid rushed come and lift Lee Tongfan on your shoulders like a loyal guard carrying his king and go around the field to thank the fans. Real Madrid fans have begun to identify with this young coach who has led the team to score 12 goals in 2 rounds. Amidst the deafening cheers, Lee Tongfan seems to be drunk again. =SEPARATINGLINE=DESTINED to come thousands of miles to meet at the BBQ restaurant. After winning the game, Coach Lee fulfilled his agreement and hosted a banquet for the Hilanshan team from the Imperial Taiwan interview team. It wasn't until today that Lee Tongfan figured out the reason why Fan Zhuang jumped to Cheo Tingte. It turns out that after this grandson published an article, The Story I Have to Tell with Real Madrid coach Lee Tongfan on Sohu International Football, netizens dug up the corpses of 8 generations of his ancestors and whipped them. The Sohu International Football Forum was even flooded by angry fans. Explode. No wonder this grandson thought he had a chance to become famous. When publishing an article, he wrote down his real name. This was a good move. He did not need to be doomed by netizens, and he himself was exposed to the class enemy. At gunpoint, he became a typical example of an unscrupulous reporter who fabricated news, and was fired by Sohu executives who did not understand the situation. Fortunately, Fan Zhuang's father was a very wealthy Shaanxi coal boss, and a lot of money was spilled. This grandson was a blessing in disguise, and he managed to squeeze into China TV station, which is known as Don't Come In, if you have nothing to do. After recounting this miserable experience, even Zeduo King and Zeduo King couldn't stop laughing, and several men started drinking together again. Brother. Hilanshan revealed his true colors. Since he got drunk yesterday, he no longer pretended to be a leader. He took a sip of wine and extended his thumb. You are so good. You dared to make substitutions before the first half was over. ZH Guan who it won't work. Leo Lee was unhappy. I said, Leo He, are you praising me or hurting me? Comparing me with him? Haven't you heard that Lubu is among men, red rabbits are among horses, and Guan who is among pigs? They have all become pigs. Hilanshan. Since Real Madrid will go to Catalonia to challenge Barcelona, another La Liga giant, in 9 days. The Hilanshan team from Cheo TV did not return immediately after recording Lee Tongfan's interview and sent back the previously recorded content. After returning home, I plan to stay in Madrid to catch up on a program about El Clasico. To be honest, because of Lee Tongfan's existence, as long as he Lanshan and others are willing, they can produce a program almost every week, which is guaranteed to be more exciting than Stephen Chow's comedy films. Not only did Helen Shan and his team at the Imperial Court set their sights on the upcoming Spanish El Clasico, the world's major football media also sent reporters to Spain to focus on this game. After 2 rounds of La Liga, Real Madrid, led by problematic coach Lee Tongfan, exploded with incredible offensive power, scoring 12 goals and conceding 1, setting a scoring record in the 5 major European leagues. Ronaldo even scored 2 goals, holding high the top of the La Liga scorer list. Looking down at the heroes, Barcelona had previously played 2 domestic Super Cup matches with Espanyol, and then, as the champion of the UEFA Champions League last season, had a European match with Sevilla, another La Liga giant, that won the UEFA Cup Super Cup game. So as of September 1st, La Liga games have not yet been played. It is worth mentioning that Barcelona was not in very good shape in the previous games they participated in. In the domestic Super Cup with Espanyol, they achieved a 0-0 draw at the Espanyol's home court in the first round, and returned to the Camp Nou at home. After that, Brazilian superstar Ronaldinho scored twice to defeat the Spaniard in a thrilling 2-1 point at home at Camp Nou. Barcelona was lucky enough to win their first crown of the season. As for the European Super Cup with La Liga team Sevilla, it is a memory that all Barcelona fans do not want to mention. At the Louis II Stadium on August 25th, although the team's top star, the Brazilian Ronaldinho, once again shined and scored twice, Sevilla also has a Brazilian who is in hot form. That is striker Luis Fabiano. The Brazilian Kuala Lumpur responded by grabbing points in front of the goal twice and tied the total score at 2-2 in stoppage time. After 30 minutes of overtime, in the exchange of penalty kicks, it was Fabiano's key shot at the last moment that mercilessly and thoroughly kicked Barcelona into countless layers of hell, compared with Real Madrid's terrifying state of winning 2 games and scoring 12 goals. Barcelona seems to be much slower at the Nou Camp on September 9th. Rijkaard will fully lead Barcelona, known as the Dream Team, to launch a desperate counter-attack, while Real Madrid hopes to continue the momentum of the previous 2 games and step on its mortal enemy. The corps moves towards the league championship step by step. This will be a national derby like Mars hitting the earth. In order to attract the attention of as many fans as possible, the domestic media in Spain have habitually engaged in verbal wars. The Real Madrid fan club headed by Marca, and ASN the fan club headed by World Sports, and the hardcore gang of Barcelona, headed by Daily Sports, began to give full play to the glorious tradition of the emperor not being in a hurry and the eunuchs being in a hurry when there were still 7 or 8 days left before the match day, and spared no effort to fan the flames. The losers are coming to La Liga. Manzano and Schuster have fallen. How long can Rijkaard last? ? 6:0 became tradition. Real Madrid gave Victor Valdes, sleepless nights, in front of Ronaldo. Ronaldinho is just an earthling. The above are the wild words arrogantly released by the Real Madrid fan group, while the Barcelona hardcore gang showed no weakness and fought back with bared teeth. When Frank Rijkaard was playing football, he was still feeding the earth is too dangerous. Fenielio should go back to the alien planet. What makes Casillas better than Valdes? That he can change women faster than he can save. In the farce of dogs biting dogs, the highlights of the first Spanish El Clasico of the 2006-07 season were thoroughly explored by the media. Game 1, Fantong vs Frank Rijkaard. This is a contest of wisdom and courage. The Chinese guy with mysterious origins and crazy tactics will face the La Liga hegemon of last season with the strongest start of the league in the history of Real Madrid's head coach. Can Real Madrid still win as much as they want? Will the idiotly still hold high the banner of offensive football? In the past season, the Dutchman Rijkaard, who led Barcelona to win the league championship and the European Champions Cup, and won the world's best coach in 2006, will use what tactics to crush the aggressive momentum of the loser Lee, with the attention of countless people? Whether Lee is a mule or a horse will be tested in this powerful Dialogue. In the second game, Alien Ronaldo vs midfielder magician Ronaldinho. This is a battle between two Brazilian superstars, the former 3-time World Footballer of the Year, the Alien Ronaldo, now the Fat Ronaldo, will face the most popular magician Ronaldinho in world football. Everyone remembers the Barcelona midfielder last season. The scene where the terrorists faked past 3 people at the Santiago Bernabeu, tricked Ramos and Sancasi, and broke into the Real Madrid goal twice. The tears of Real Madrid fans at the Santiago Bernabeu are still vivid in my mind. Now the alien seems to have recovered his health. Can Ronaldinho win back a victory for the infatuated Real Madrid fans at Camp Nou? At the beginning of this season, Ronaldo scored 1 hat in each of the 2 league rounds, while Ronaldinho scored 4 goals in 3 games. Who will be the key Terminator to determine the outcome of the game on September 9th? PS. In response to the request of some readers, the word count of a single chapter has been increased to 3,000, updated twice a day. The first update in the afternoon is before 8 o'clock. In addition, Zyodeo is just a freelance writer, and I admit that I have a bad grasp on style. I have been working hard and never gave up. I sincerely welcome the bug knife. From the beginning to now, I have been carefully recording and reading, and it has indeed benefited a lot. As for ruining the subject matter and ruining FM and the like, I'm sorry, Zyodeo is not here to be scolded by being cheap. There are countless people who can write about the subject matter. If you feel uncomfortable, you can write one yourself. Zyodeo has not applied for a patent. Finally, the dismemberment of dead babies is huge. Don't spend money to vote for reviews. It's too expensive. Zyodeo will be grateful for the reward. Bowen, thank you guys. Chapter 39. We are all big eaters. Round 3, Casillas vs. Valdes. Real Madrid circus like poor defense made Casillas famous. After defending the goal for Spain for the first time in the match against Switzerland in 2000, Casillas has always been the most unshakable starting goalkeeper of the Spanish national team. With his handsome appearance and perfect performance on the field, Casillas has always been the first dream lover of Spanish beauties, but the Catalans don't think so. In their opinion, only Valdes, who helped Barcelona win the double championship last season, is the best goalkeeper on the planet. All Barcelona fans are indignant that the Spanish national team ignores Valdes' existence, and the next national derby will give Valdes another great opportunity to prove himself and defeat Casillas, the first for 1,000 years and the second for 10,000 years. Who will laugh last? World Football, also known as Secret Seoken, is a very popular football program in China. Just as the program's slogan, the purest football, the highest level of enjoyment says, every Monday evening at 19:30, countless fanatical football fans will sit in front of the TV on time to enjoy this pure football feast. Sunbo is one of the millions of fans. Due to work reasons, he cannot watch the La Liga games that are only broadcast in the second half of the night, which makes him extremely resentful. The Secret Seoken at 19:30 has become the most important thing in the life of this fanatical Real Madrid fan that cannot be missed. After the wonderful opening scene, Duan Zhuang's big head popped up on the TV screen as always. This male host, who has thick eyebrows and big eyes like Brother Jing in The Legend of the Condor Heroes, has become the top commentator in the domestic football commentary industry. Since Brother Jiang Xiang was fired by the court TV station for saying it's not a fight alone, but a possession by the soul in the just concluded World Cup in Germany. Even the predecessors such as Brother Kai, who is as fast as thunder to steal the bell, Coach Zhang, who is Hey Emperor, and Brother Jian Hong, who is a little red on the court, are willing to be inferior. Good evening, audience friends. Welcome to watch the live broadcast of Xiangsha football for you. I'm Duan Zuan, the program supporter. In today's program, our staff has prepared a carefully designed section for everyone, called A Day in the Life of Li Tongfan. My girlfriend, a nurse working in a hospital, is on night shift today, so she doesn't have to worry about being robbed of the remote control and forced to watch Aunt Kyan Yeo Sunbo from the fairy tale drama My Fair Princess. Lay comfortably on the leather sofa, crossed his legs, lit a cigarette, took a leisurely puff, and began to smoke freely. But that was the moment when Duan Zuan said the 3 words Li Tongfan. Sunbo immediately sat up as if his butt was bitten by a dog. Li Tongfan. 4. Sunbo, this is a name that has worn thick calluses on his ears, a fairy tale name. If there are still Chinese fans who don't know this name, then he is already out, since the online debate about Chinese becoming Real Madrid coach half a month ago was settled. This man called Li Tongfan is almost on the verge of surpassing Yao Ming and Liu Xiang to become the #1 sports star in China. Whether it is Baidu or Google, the three words Li Tongfan have been at the top of the search rate in the past month. Various news about Li Tongfan on the internet seem to be flying all over the sky like catkins in March in the south of the Yangtze River. As a loyal Real Madrid fan, after Sunbo confirmed that Li Tongfan really existed, he immediately began to collect all information about this man, who was a dozen years younger than himself. As long as there was news related to Li Tongfan, he would read it carefully several times, download useful news, and save it in a folder named Fairy Tale on his computer. The degree of seriousness is even more than when he was reviewing for the college entrance examination that would determine his fate 10 years ago, and today's Secret Say OK on the 5th channel of the Imperial Court channel has become a personal promotional video for Li Tongfan. It seems that the staff of the program production team has put a lot of thought into it. From the press conference when Li Tongfan took office as Real Madrid, to the warm-up matches he led the team against strong teams such as Inter Milan and Manchester United, to Real Madrid's away challenge to Mallorca, and then to the home victory over Mallorca led by Schuster. All the video materials were sorted out, and the program spent nearly an hour telling this story that seems to never happen. This is like a fairy tale for all Chinese fans. From the first second that the somewhat wretched figure appeared on the TV screen, Sunbo couldn't help but sit up straight, watching the immature little man sitting behind the table of the press conference pretending to be sophisticated, watching him wearing sunglasses and posing cool in the game, watching him jumping up and down on the SYNOPSIS stadium like a clown, to command the players to go up and head the corner kick. Sunbo suddenly found that this guy called a good for nothing by the Spanish was actually no different from those cunning and mean young people around him. But it's better this way. What fans need is a living friend with flesh and blood, a friend with both strengths and weaknesses, rather than the kind of success module that is high above and out of reach. So when Sunbo saw Li Tongfan waving his arms and roaring at countless Mallorca fans alone at the SYNOPSIS stadium, he suddenly felt a sense of blood boiling. The court TV station made an exception this time and did not harmonize the insulting slogans made by Mallorca fans in the stands. At this moment, Sunbo worshipped Li Tongfan like crazy. This is the idol I need. This is the idol that real fans need. The thin figure waving his arms and shouting provocatively amid the angry curses and boos of tens of thousands of Mallorca fans was deeply imprinted in Sunbo's memory and may be engraved for a lifetime. Until the end of the program, Sunbo lit a cigarette and fell into deep thought. Chinese people are good at creating idols. And they are also good at trampling on idols. It is easy to remember a person's goodness, but it is easier to forget him. Sunbo felt that he should do something for that little man. After turning on the computer, Sunbo planned to create a Baidu post bar about Li Tongfan, meet some fans who also like Li Tongfan, and discuss how to support this new friend together. However, he was surprised to find that there were already dozens of post bars related to Li Tongfan. We are all big eaters. This is a post bar opened by a buddy who never stops talking. Read. New coach. Well, the name of this post bar is very consistent with socialism with Chinese characteristics. Among the many post bars, Sunbo chose one named with the three characters Li Tongfan. After clicking to enter, the post bar was as lively as he expected. More than 100,000 posts, millions of replies. The number of people who applied to become members has exceeded 10,000, and the number is still growing slowly. Each member has a very beefy name. Eater. Sunbo smiled slightly, spent a few minutes to register a Baidu account, and then applied to join the post bar. The owner first eater quickly agreed to his application, and there was another eater in the post bar. After becoming a glutton, Sunbo quickly posted his first post. I'm a fan of Real Madrid, and I'm the most die-hard glutton. I believe everyone has watched the World Football that just ended. I have created a questions group. All friends who support Li Tongfan should join. I think we should be able to do something for our idol. Group number 6,159,252. Book friends group. Within 10 minutes, the questions message prompt box kept making coughing prompt sounds like a patient with advanced pneumonia. Sunbo hurriedly clicked on the verification box, and one of the mapos caught his attention. Hello, I'm the first glutton, the moderator of Lee Tongfan's forum. Thank you for providing the questions group at the first time. You are right. We should do something for him. 10 minutes later, the advanced questions group that can accommodate 500 people was filled, and all the gluttons began to speak enthusiastically. Sunbo stared at the comments on the window that were as fast as the screen and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Often, before half of a sentence was read, it was immediately pushed out of sight by the comments below. So Sunbo clicked on the questions of the first glutton and prepared to chat privately. SB. Sunbo's questions nickname. The first letter of each word in the name is capitalized. Hello, I'm the one who posts on the forum. Do you have any good ideas? First. Eater sent a sweaty little head emoji. Damn, these grandsons are posting like a screen filling. It's exhausting to watch. I was just about to chat with you privately. I'm a programmer, and I want to create a personal website for Lee Tongfan. What do you think? SB. That's what I was thinking, but we are still short of manpower. If it's just the two of us, we need to find some more helpers. First. Eater, that's easy. The guys in the group whose adrenaline secretion is more vigorous than that of old virgins who have entered menopause early. They must be willing to help. SB. That's a solution. It turns out that Lee Tongfan's face is now bigger than the Pacific Ocean. When Sunbo and First Eater told the group about their idea of building a website, the Eaters responded enthusiastically, and an individual who Rezel Servers donated a 1-year property right of a Fuiyang dual core X1 server without saying a word. Under the enthusiastic situation of money contributes money, no money contributes people. No one joins in the fun. A glutton website creation team consisting of 3 programmers, 1 artist, and 5 part-time editors was born. As for the name of the website, after the vote of the general public, it was finally named We Are All Gluttons. Sunbo's objection was invalid, so he had to accept it. PS Xiaodao made a mistake. Because of the code is not smooth, repeated modification and deletion, so I forgot to check the time. This chapter is a bit late. Please forgive me. I'm very sorry. Thank you all for your awards. Xiaodao does not have time to thank you one by one. I will open a separate chapter to express my most sincere gratitude to everyone. In addition, in the past few days, some chapters will be modified. At the same time, the typus picked out by Almighty God will be changed. There may be continuous fake updates. Please forgive me. It's very tight behind. It's not easy to compete. Please support Xiaodao with your votes. Chapter 40 A Leisure Day in Madrid. Lee Tongfan certainly didn't know what was happening in China thousands of miles away, because he was pretending to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of the Real Madrid superstars in the training ground. Speaking of this, I really have to thank the assistant coach Grade. Grade's seriousness and responsibility are 10,000 times more than the real head coach Lee. The post-war analysis of the first 2 games was organized in an orderly manner by him. Lee was holding the ready-made manuscript produced by Grade and shaking his head to cram the superstars. Insightful. While reading, Lee secretly sighed in his heart that Grade was indeed a great man who reached the full value of 20 in the tactical knowledge item in the FM 2007 system. Fortunately, he took him down wisely at the beginning, and now he has slowly cultivated him into his own man. With such an assistant, what else can I ask for? After the tactical summary, considering that there are still 7 or 8 days before the next Spanish national derby with Barcelona, Lee Tongfan gave the Real Madrid superstars who played 2 games in a week 2 days off, so that he could also take time to do the chores at home. When the superstars heard about the holiday, their gratitude to Lee Tongfan immediately rose to a new level. Think about it, who doesn't like a boss who has nothing to do and gives them a holiday to play? The stars are also people, so the young men gathered together, lifted Leoli, and threw him into the sky 3 times, and then drove their own luxury cars out of the Madrid sports city, and went their separate ways. Paul Leoli, when he was thrown into the air for the 3rd time, he was horrified to find that there was no one below to catch him. Fortunately, he was on the grass, otherwise his waist would definitely be broken. You little bastards. Wait for me. It will be strange if you don't die from training after the holiday. Lee Tongfan was lying on the court, and he had already begun to draft the devil's physical fitness training method in his stomach. That was comparable to the Red Army's 25,000-mile-long march, dividing line HOHO equals BACK in the villa. Lee Tongfan found 3 blonde beauties waiting for him. So Leo Lee decided to do something very enjoyable. What is the most enjoyable thing for a man to do in front of 3 graceful blonde beauties? That's even necessary. Of course, it's to be an interviewer, sitting on the leather sofa in the living room of his villa next to the Bernabeu Stadium. Lee Tongfan was overjoyed to see the 3 Spanish blonde beauties in front of him, then picked up the resume in his hand, compared them one by one, and asked the most impressive beauty in the middle. This little sister is Elizabeth, who claims to provide all housework services. Maybe. Leo Lee exposed his true nature too obviously. The beauty in the middle stared at Lee Tongfan for 3 seconds, then screamed and ran away, forgetting to take her resume back. No way. Is the labor so terrible? Lee Tongfan looked at the small mirror on the coffee table in confusion. Yes, the man in the mirror was still as handsome as before. So Lee turned around and gave the remaining 2 beauties a self-proclaimed kind smile. Other 2 girls looked at each other and ran away screaming, "Fuck." Lee Tongfan threw his resume on the table angrily. What a lousy housekeeping company. Did they send someone to play with me? The chick sent ran away after taking a look. Did I have the word pervert engraved on my face? Lee was about to call the service center to complain and try to get the €1,000 deposit he paid the day before back. Suddenly, he felt a chill in his crotch. He looked down and saw. Lee blushed. What happened? He actually forgot to zip up his pants after peeing? No wonder. Lee Tongfan finally understood why the 3 beauties ran away screaming, "Fuck." Even if Leo Lee went to the interview himself, he would have to run away if he met a psychopath walking his bird in front of others in broad daylight. Not to mention 3 delicate girls. Oh no, this matter will not be known by that sinister person Flaws, and written in his column. Isn't this forcing me to kill people to silence them? By the way, what are the names of these 3 girls? Lee Tongfan picked up the resume that he had left on the coffee table and began to carefully check the measurements of the 3 blonde girls. Looking up at the sky, it was still early. The sun climbed to the highest point in the sky with a refreshing spirit, showing its hot masculine charm. Lee Tongfan wondered in his heart, should I do some entertainment activities? A big house is good, but I'm the only one in such a spacious villa. If it goes on for a long time, it will attract some thieves or Sadako, which will be fun. Should I find a hostess? Lee Tongfan was lying on the sofa and began to fantasize. We have money now, so it's not a crime to find a girlfriend to satisfy our physical needs, right? What kind of girl should I find? Lalita? Queen? Mature woman? Office lady? Spring has long passed, but Lee Tongfan is thinking about love in the summer. Is this the legendary feeling full and warm? But just thinking is not enough. So Leo Lee decided to go to the street to ask for money. What if he met an exotic beauty who was willing to start a world-shaking and tear-jerking love with him? The weather was hot, so Leo Lee wore big shorts and a small vest and wore flip-flops and walked out the door with 3 steps. When he was in college, Lee Tongfan was called a loser by his classmates. In addition to the reason for his name, there was also a more important and decisive factor. He was a complete road fool. In the first week of the university, the department organized old and new students to go to Changhan Park for a picnic and barbecue to exchange feelings. As a result, when the picnic was over and they were returning to school, the large group crossed an overpass and Lee Tongfan mysteriously disappeared. At first, no one noticed it. It wasn't until the lights were turned off in the dormitory at night that a buddy in the same dormitory discovered that someone stayed out all night. Could it be that this guy ran away from school and wandered around the world just when the department leaders were preparing to mobilize everyone to launch a massive manhunt the next morning? Lee Tongfan came back just before his death, led by a kind-hearted sanitation worker. It turned out that this guy took the wrong road when crossing the overpass and went straight to the third ring road along the expressway and then spent the whole night riding around the Shenzhen outer ring road several times. It wasn't until it was dark the next day that a sanitation worker cleaning up the street garbage curiously asked him if he was a member of the Sunset Red cycling team, and then he learned about the situation and sent him back. If you don't know the way, you won't ask for directions. A living person actually let his urine suffocate him to death. So Li Tongfan's reputation as a rice bucket became known in Nankai University, but Liao Li himself felt that he had been wronged. How could an introverted rural youth who had just arrived in a big city and couldn't even speak Mandarin dare to muster the courage to ask others? Besides, there aren't many pedestrians in Shenzhen's outer ring road, right? Should labor and management be asked to stop a BMW on the highway to ask for directions? Facts have proved that, even if he became the head coach of Real Madrid, Li Tongfan's road business has not improved to that level. 20 minutes later, Li Tongfan was lost in the traffic again. Li Tongfan wandered aimlessly on the street, his eyes scanning back and forth like a digital camera. When he found a beautiful woman with an attractive figure, he secretly made a score in his mind. When he saw a strong dinosaur, he immediately withdrew his seriously polluted gaze. This feeling is so good. It seems like I have returned to my college days, when I took my friends to Binjiang Road pedestrian street early in the morning to see my girlfriend. Free, unrestrained, debauched, young and frivolous. There is no swarm of media buzzing in your ears. No need to pay attention to your image at all times to prevent flaws. A sinister man. From grabbing the handle and spitting, and no need to worry about the shocking mystery inside IBM T30 being known. Just like the boy who hadn't grown up before, Li Tongfan was so light that he wanted to fly as a wealthy prostitute. In addition to shopping for sex, Liao Li will certainly not forget to engage in another very popular activity, spending money. Whenever he sees a distinctive shop on the street, Li Tongfan will rush in and sweep it up, including pants, belts, wallets, baseball caps, suits, t-shirts, razors, toothpaste, socks, bread, and fruits, toilet paper, toy water guns, skateboards. Li Tongfan would buy whatever he liked without hesitation. Liao Li's slogan is, only buy the right ones, not the expensive ones. A few hours later, Li Tongfan returned to the street carrying large and small bags. He ignored the strange looks of passers-by and thought happily as he walked, no wonder everyone wants to be rich. It turns out that spending money feels better than spending money in a long time. After constipation, it is even more refreshing to suddenly have unblocked intestines. Looking at his watch, he saw that he had been wandering around for more than 3 hours, and it was time to eat. Li Tongfan decided to find a restaurant that was more in line with his status as an upper-class person and treat himself well. Good life. This is going to be a day of indulgence. Half an hour later, Li Tongfan was already sitting in the semi-enclosed small area of Modern Holiday, ordering a Spanish specialty delicacy of sherry wine and prosciutto, while choosing the beauties among the diners. While eating in his most gentle image drink from the sea, the sherry wine was fragrant and the raw ham was tender and refreshing. Li Tongfan finished 7 sets of sherry wine raw ham in one go under the dumbfounded eyes of the waiter. The reputation of being a loser is well deserved. ===SEPARATING line. HOHO==MONDERNHOLIDAY is the most famous Spanish-style gourmet shop on the streets of Madrid. The environment is elegant, and the decoration has a clear Latin style. The space of more than 800 square meters is casually cut into 20 or 30 semi-enclosed small rooms, with lazy music, hand-woven vine chairs, and Chinese-style salad, and the large table, coupled with a slightly reddish light pattern, will make you feel relaxed as soon as you step into the store. P.S. This chapter is an excessive plot. Take it easy. By the way, Liao Li hasn't gone shopping since he came to Madrid. I would like to remind everyone carefully that a woman is about to appear. Xiaodao is very bad at writing emotional dramas, but it seems impossible to write an online novel without writing about love. After seeing this, the people patted the bricks lightly and bowed with their knives in thanks. Thank you to Only One Murderer and Lick 1989 for your great suggestions and encouragement. Thank you to XX108911 for your great review votes. But for 9000, Ziodeo, please try your best to write as many words as you can. Bow down and ask for votes. Chapter 41 Wang King reappears yesterday. Modern Holiday is the most famous Spanish-style gourmet shop on the streets of Madrid. The environment is elegant, and the decoration has a clear Latin style. The space of more than 800 square meters is casually cut into 20 or 30 semi-enclosed small rooms, with lazy music, hand-woven vine chairs, and Chinese-style salad, and the large table, coupled with a slightly reddish light pattern, will make you feel relaxed as soon as you step into the store. As the name of the store describes, coming here will definitely make you feel like you are on holiday. Wang King has fallen in love with Modern Holiday since he stumbled upon this gourmet restaurant on his third day in Madrid. When the sun is at its worst every day, she would find a small booth by the window, order a glass of strong sherry, and while listening to the soft music in the store, she would describe the poetic sunshine in her notebook. This is the leisurely life she wants. But today, when she entered Modern Holiday carrying a beige plaid soft cloth satchel as usual, she couldn't help but frown slightly. There seemed to be more people in the store than usual, and what was even worse was her favorite one. The small room has been occupied by a man who eats and drinks with open arms. Fortunately, the small enclosure was very spacious. Wang King paused for a moment and decided to sit in it. Maybe after a while, this man who lowers his head and eats something uglier than a pig will leave. Wang King comforted himself in his heart. As for the man whose food is uglier than that of a pig, it is naturally Li Tongfan. Li is currently fighting to the death with his 8th sherry wine set. At this moment, a figure floated by. A faint fragrance of jasmine entered his nose, and there seemed to be a person sitting across from the salad and glazed round table. Li Tongfan couldn't help but look up, and then, Bada, the characteristic knife and fork with fine carvings in his hand, fell to the ground without noticing it. Li Tongfan stared blankly at the woman in front of him, with 3 parts surprise, 3 parts confusion, and 4 parts timidity in his eyes. Is it really her? How could it be her? Still the stubborn long hair, the same confident smile, the smooth neck like the tender neck of a swan, the picturesque dark eyebrows, the picturesque smile, a familiar but unfamiliar face, a face that is not stunningly beautiful. But it is the face that haunts Li Tongfan the most, and the most depressingly in his short life of more than 20 years. In this 1,000th of a second, countless images that had long been hidden in the depths of his mind and that even Li Tongfan himself thought he had forgotten began to rewind before his eyes like a video recorder. Wang King sat on the couch made of cunning and was about to take out his notebook to finish writing his unfinished article Impressions of Madrid when he was startled by the sound of a knife and fork hanging on the ground in Li Tongfan's hand. When the man, he raised his head and looked at himself blankly and suddenly found it's him. How could? Li Tongfan opened his mouth with a piece of raw ham in his mouth while Wang King gently covered his mouth. This is the second time I've been surprised to see her, Li Tongfan whispered to himself in his heart, counting the 254 days, 8 hours and 54 minutes that he had spent with her in the past 6 years. The girl in front of him, who seemed to always be calm and gentle, was in front of her for the second time today. There was a surprised expression in front of him. Although he just covered his mouth and whispered softly, Li Tongfan could see the surprise in her eyes at a glance, and surprise, after a while. Why are you here? The woman in front of me, her eyebrows raised into a little crescent moon, asked questions casually, as if the person sitting across from her was an old friend whom she met every day, and her gentle voice plucked the string in Li Tongfan's heart. In order to wait for you. Li suddenly said this without thinking. After saying it, he immediately regretted it. He still hasn't changed his previous glib temper. She must be disappointed again. Wang King looked at the embarrassed expression of this man who was worried about gains and losses like a child. His heart ached slightly, but a naughty smile appeared on his face. Then how do you know I'm here? Yeah, how did I know you were here? There are so many shops on the street. How could I accidentally walk into this gourmet restaurant? In the vast sea of people, how could you appear in front of me without missing a beat? Just like you left silently that day. Li Tongfan didn't know what to say and stared blankly at the woman in front of him, as if he was looking at a beautiful butterfly in his small garden many years ago. If he wasn't careful, she would flap her wings and fly away. What came to his ears was the nostalgic hit song Yesterday Again played in the gourmet restaurant. Lee Tongfan's mind flew far, far away with Karen Carpenter's soft and slightly hesitant voice. When I was young I'd listen to the radio. I like listening to the radio waiting back quote for my favorite songs, waiting for my favorite songs. When they played I'd sing along. I often sing along. It made a mess smile point smiley face. Those were such happy times and not so long ago is not far away. How I wondered where they'd gone, but they're back again just like a long lost friend. All the songs I loved so well point every sha-la-la-la every whoa-oh-whoa-oh still shines every shing-a-ling-a-ling that they're starting to sing so fine point w when they get to the part when they sang where he's breaking her heart. He broke her heart. That part it can really make me cry just like before. It's yesterday once more. This is yesterday again. Shooby-doo-lang-lang. Shooby-doo-lang-lang. Looking back on how it was in years gone by, those times and the good times that I had makes today seem rather sad. So much has changed. Everything has changed. It was songs of love that I would sing to then and I'd remember each word. Those old melodies still sound so good to me as they melt the years away point every sha-la-la-la every whoa-oh-whoa-oh still shines every shing-a-ling-a-ling that they're rested into sings. When I started singing so fine, so happy, all my best memories come back clearly. Some can even make me cry. Some even make me cry just like before. It's yesterday once more. This is yesterday's REAPPEARANCE equals DIVIDINGLINE equals. The house is nice, but it's too messy. Wan King stood on the stairs, smiling and waving her white fist. I declare that from today, the second floor belongs to me. The first floor belongs to you. The swimming pool belongs to me. The garage belongs to you. You are not allowed to collect rent, water, and electricity bills. You are not allowed to bring strangers back in the middle of the night. And you are not allowed to keep the lights off after 12 o'clock. In this case, this girl can consider providing 3 meals a day. How about it? Humph. You are not allowed to say no. After saying no 5 times in a row, Wan King no longer paid attention to the silly Lee Tongfan, humming a brisk Yimeng tune, and began to clean up the villa that was messed up by Lee. Everyone says that Yimeng Mountain is good. Yimeng Mountain has beautiful scenery. It was still the song that had always been on her lips. Kiki's voice was like pearls bouncing on the ground. Lee Tongfan stood at the door, looking at this figure who was busy like a little wife, and suddenly felt as if his heart was filled with something called happiness. This must be God forgiving his last mistake and giving him another chance to do it again. The next day, the team had a day off. It was time to rest. Lee Tongfan, as usual, slept until 10 o'clock and then got up, folded the quilt, washed his face, and brushed his teeth. And then started to prepare breakfast. The room was much tidier. Wait, I seem to have forgotten something. Why do I remember that I seemed to have met her yesterday? It seems that she stayed here. Did we have dinner together? Lee Tongfan still had a toothbrush in his mouth, standing in front of the carved mirror next to the faucet in the bathroom. Suddenly, he remembered that there should be one more person at home, so he couldn't help but tiptoe to the second floor to see if Wan King was still there. The living room on the second floor has been neatly tidied up, and the dust on the bookshelf that I had made a mess in the past has been wiped clean. The door of the master bedroom is open, and the velvet and white quilts are piled in all directions, but the beautiful woman is nowhere to be seen. Traces gone again. A huge sense of loss instantly filled Lee Tongfan's whole body. Laoli's first reaction was to chase, so he ran downstairs. When he staggered to the door of the villa, he was pleasantly surprised to find Wan King standing there wiping his sweat. When he saw Lee Tongfan coming out, he smiled softly. "You're such a loser. Why don't you come over and help? P.S. By the way, today's third update is 9,000 words long. This chapter quoted a song, which is too watery, so I added 400 more words. Xiaodao is not the kind of person who is too lazy to rush to the word limit. One more chapter before 10 p.m. As for why the 9,000 word update was needed, it was not for the 17 chapters to urge for updates. To be honest, Xiaodao was touched by the continuous rewards and support from several editors. Xiaodao is also a flesh and blood person, and he still understands the principle of repaying kindness. It would be very uninteresting if you still remain indifferent, even though you are showing such support. The girl who appears now is considered the heroine. She had a very shocking past with a pig's foot. I will write it out slowly in the future and adapt it based on my friend's experience. It's definitely not a savage girlfriend, and there won't be a scene where pig's feet are thrown away in front of women. Xiodeo wants to write a bit of pure love. As for the great contempt of the Dango people, alas, Xiodeo has taken it. But Xiodeo is really not dragging out the word count. From the end of the second game to the derby, there is nearly 10 days of rest. It would be boring to keep writing about the game. Xiodeo can pat its chest and promise that it will never delay the plot. How can Xiodeo have the capital to delay the word count? Don't dare. I'm done with saving the manuscript, and I'm going to continue coding, even more hurriedly. If there are any typos, the knife will slowly correct them. In addition, the next few on the new book list are all Sanjiang this week. If you have votes, please support Xiodeo. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42 Master 039's wife, your cooking skills are really good. Behind Wang King are 3 or 4 large luggage compartments with a purple appearance, which is her favorite color. Wang King waved his fists and showed his teeth to Li Tongfan. As I told you yesterday, I decided to stay at your place temporarily. I slept like a dead pig early in the morning and didn't know how to get up early to help others carry their luggage to the hotel. Li Tongfan ignored Wang King's pretentious threats and thought bitterly in his heart, if you play with me like this again, I will die for you. After packing Wang King's luggage, under Li Tongfan's ulterior suggestion, the two decided to spend the remaining half day on the road and spending money in a women's clothing boutique. How about this one? Wang King came out of the fitting room and put on a purple cotton skirt. He touched the hem of the skirt with his hands and gently turned it in a circle. Then he stood and asked Li Tongfan for his opinion. His swaying calves made old Li's eyes tremble. Flower, good looking. This is the answer given by someone. Wang King smiled proudly. It looks good, then buy it. As he spoke, he took out his wallet from his beige plaid soft cloth satchel and handed it to the waiter to pay with his card. Li Tongfan did not rush to pay because he knew that Wang King would never spend a man's money, even if it was her father's money. He would not spend it. She still has the same temperament, stubbornness, and seriousness on the grocery stall. How about this? Wang King picked out a hand-carved silver earring from a street stall. On it were engraved 2 chubby little kids with wings, playing with bows and arrows with sly eyebrows. Good looking. Someone gave the same answer. Wang King was not annoyed. He took out a few small silver coins from his wallet and threw them to the stall owner. Then he picked up his green hair and put on his earrings. He stood in the sunshine and shook his head childishly. The silver pendant jingled. It looks good. Ah, let's buy and sell. How about this? Nice. It looks good. Then buy it. What about this? Nice. Some people say that going shopping with a woman is more painful than eating shit. In Li Tongfan's opinion, the person who said this must have eaten too much shit and is mentally disturbed. Under the leadership of Wang King, the road crazy old Li went out at about 10 o'clock in the morning, and it has been 5 or 6 hours now. He was carrying large and small bags in his hands. Although he was a little tired, he wished that the sun would lie shamelessly in the sky forever. It's best to keep going this way. Wang King hummed a cheerful song softly and skipped ahead. He held a small piece of paper in his hand, which was densely filled with the names of various products. When passing by a large supermarket, he dangled his silver earrings. He turned around and told Li Tongfan, "Go and store the things quickly. We are going to start a big purchase." Leo. Li went to the supermarket bag depository to deposit his bag. As for the piece of paper in Wang King's hand, it was the product of a small purchase meeting before the two went out in the morning. As the current owner of one half of the villa, Wang King seriously believed that the villa was too empty and decisively exercised his right to decide with one vote. Make a shopping list and decide to redecorate your villa from the inside out. Wang King listed a variety of purchasing items, ranging from a 56-inch plasma wall-mounted digital TV to small triangular plastic wall nails for hanging murals. So Leoli followed her back and forth to the supermarket hardware section and home appliances section area, flower and plant area, never tire of it. 2 hours later, Wang King happily rushed into a famous brand underwear boutique. Li Tongfan was waiting outside with a red face pushing 3 seriously overloaded supermarket shopping carts. Speaking of which, classmate Li Tongfan, a virgin in his 20s, had never stood so impressively in front of a lingerie store before. He thought bitterly in his heart, this dead girl must be deliberately embarrassing herself. Fortunately, her acquaintance in Madrid didn't. Too many, otherwise it will be embarrassing. How do you say something? What are you afraid of? Just when Li Tongfan was pretending to be calm, a few familiar acquaintances popped out from the other end of the mall. Fuck. Leoli couldn't wait to take out the flesh-colored stockings Wang King bought for himself from the shopping cart and put it on his head to accompany the supermarket robbers. How could these bastards appear here? Unfortunately, the acquaintances walked towards the underwear boutique without hesitation, and less than a quarter of an hour later, they discovered Li Tongfan, who was trying to hide behind the shopping cart. Boss, why are you here? Gianluca, who was tall, stretched out his hand and patted Leoli enthusiastically. Oh, what a coincidence. You guys are also here to visit the supermarket. Li Tongfan, who couldn't hide, got out from behind the shopping cart and said hello with a smile on his face while drawing countless circles and curses in his heart. Gianluca, Modric, Fernando, Marcelo, Carlos, you hammers, please leave immediately. If you don't leave tomorrow's training, I will make you die very ugly. Surrounding Leoli are Li Tongfan's 5 favorites in Real Madrid: Croatian Joel Luca, Modric, Brazilian Ronaldo, Marcelo and Roberto Carlos. Wow, this is so interesting. Feliuo looked at the lingerie boutique next to him with a playful smile. Boss, are you waiting for a beautiful woman here? Do you want us to accompany you? Li Tongfan's face turned dark. Damn fatty, just wait. Labor and management will treat you like giving character points to a dog. I must change you back to the glass fat guy you were before. In contrast, Croatian young lady Modric was much more honest, pointing to the 3 shopping cart items. Boss, do you want to help? Just when Leoli was about to find a way to scold these uninvited hammers away, Wang King came out of the underwear store humming a tune. Wow, there are beauties. The hammers suddenly seemed to have discovered a new continent, and their saliva was dripping. Marcelo jumped out of the crowd and warned Feliuo and his hammers, it's my turn. If any of you dare to rob me, be careful of me falling out. In Li Tongfan's stunned expression with black lines on his head, Marcelo walked over affectionately and bowed to Wang King in an extremely gentlemanly manner. This beautiful lady, please allow me to introduce myself. I'm 20 years old and unmarried. Single, nicknamed the best left back in the world, with dignified character and noble personality. I would like to take the liberty of asking, can I know your phone number and treat you to dinner? When Marcelo said these words, 2 people next to him immediately quit. Roberto Carlos was so angry that a giant Buddha appeared and 2 Buddhas ascended to heaven. You are such a little hammer, Marcelo. When you ask me for advice on powerful free kicks, you still flattered me. You say you're not worthy of carrying my shoes, but you become the world's #1 left back when you see a beautiful woman. So where am I? As for Leoli, to use a very novice saying, if looks could kill, Marcelo would have turned into a pile of pork belly dumpling fillings within 1 second of Li Tongfan's top 10 minutes. And it's definitely the kind of stuffed meat dumplings that even the people from Guangxi in water margin couldn't chop out all morning. Wang King didn't even look at Marcelo. He came to Li Tongfan with a smile and held Li Tongfan with his white arms. Suck except for Marcelo. The other hammers who were whistling and shouting just now gasped and were stunned, and Marcelo cried. Leoli's murderous gaze had already told everything. Marcelo found that he seemed as if, well, he must have stepped on a big thunder. What's the difference between teasing the leader's woman in front of his teammates and slapping the sitting king in front of all the civil and military ministers? The air is frozen. Wang King shook Li Tongfan's arm, looked at the hammers with dejected faces with a smile, and asked softly, acquaintance, Li? Tongfan gritted his teeth and replied, an acquaintance, that's great. If you are acquainted, can you ask them to help move things? Wang King pointed to 3 overstuffed supermarket shopping carts. I'm afraid it can't be done with just the 2 of us. Before Li Tongfan could speak, the 5 hammers who realized something was wrong started to rush to help Leoli push the shopping cart. Marcelo even had an expression on his face that said, I will risk my life for whoever grabs me. The shopping cart with the most items looked at it like a husky guarding its food. Several people want to atone for their sins. With help, the group quickly arrived at Li Tongfan's residence. Under the command of Wang King, Marcelo and the others moved things upstairs with sweating sweat. By the time everything was arranged, the sun was setting in the west and the sky was filled with stars. After Wang King repeatedly persuaded him to stay, Marcelo and Fenielio stared at Li Tongfan's murderous eyes and stayed for dinner in fear. Mother, your craftsmanship is so good. You can open a restaurant near the Bernabeu. Marcelo carefully picked up a piece of braised pork and found that the coach's eyes were still very unkind. So he decided to surround Wendy and save Zhao, hoping that by praising the leader's sweetheart, Li Tongfan would forgive him for being a lost little lamb. As for the title master's mother, a few hammers came up with the name for Wang King, while Leoli and Wang King were preparing dinner in the kitchen. According to the Chinese, the coach is the master, so the woman who is the master should be called master. Sure enough, this roundabout flattery made Li Tongfan feel refreshed. Looking at Marcelo, his eyes finally revealed some admiration. Good boy, you are smart. I will let you play more games in the future. Poor Marcelo is finally relieved. Wang King always served everyone with a smile, and from time to time he put a few pieces of vegetables into Leoli's bowl. He didn't refute when Marcelo called him his wife in a random way, so he gave Li Tongfan enough face. Just as the colorful nightlife in Madrid was about to begin, Philo and the others stood up to say goodbye in a sensible manner, and they wiped the cold sweat from their heads and dispersed. Please vote. The opponents are all Sanjiang. Xiaodao is miserable. Chapter 43 Decision 343 Derby Tactics. September 4th. There are still 5 days until the first Spanish national derby of the 2006-07 season. In the past few days, the superstars of Real Madrid have been training twice a day at the request of Li Tongfan. Physical training in the morning and group confrontation and tactics in the afternoon. The superstars found that Li Tongfan seemed to be in a very good mood recently, except for the reward Marcelo, Ronaldo, Joel Luca, Modric and Roberto Carlos for running 25,000 meters around the training ground on the first morning. After returning from vacation, he was actually smiling all the time in the following days, and his mouth was almost cramped with laughter. Assistant coach Greed was also very surprised, but he was embarrassed to ask. In any case, it is better for the head coach to be in a good mood than to be sad all day, especially before the big battle with Barcelona. A smile can boost the confidence of the players, so the training lasted for 3 days in a harmonious atmosphere between the players and coaches. On the 4th day, Greed felt that Leoli should study Barcelona's tactics and consider the starting lineup and tactical countermeasures at Camp Nou on September 9th. In Greed's opinion, although Real Madrid relied on the 4-1-2-1-2 formation that focused on offense to win by a large margin in the first 2 rounds of the league, that was because Mallorca and Getafe's forward attack power was not strong, and the midfield control ability was several levels lower than Real Madrid. But Barcelona is different from Mallorca and Getafe. Its midfield has the world's best player Ronaldinho, the Argentine rookie Messi known as Maradona II, the Portuguese Deco known as Phenomenon and the Spanish respirator Xavi. The Cameroonian Chicharito on the front line regards Real Madrid as the enemy who killed his father. Every time he encounters a game with Real Madrid, he is as fierce as taking stimulants. Such an offensive power is not to say that it is unparalleled in the world, but it is also the best in Spain. If it plays against Barcelona, it will probably die miserably. So Greed expressed his thoughts to Li Tongfan very tactfully. In fact, Leoli has been thinking about what tactics to use in the match with Barcelona these days. You know, although the 4-1-2-1-2 formation in the first 2 games is more offensive, the choice of the 4 defenders generally does not relax the defense. So in the matches against Mallorca and Getafe, only 1 goal was lost in total. But in the away game against Barcelona, if you continue to take care of both ends, the end is likely to be that you can't take care of both ends. You must know that the pre-simulation of FM 2007 is not omnipotent. If the tactical arrangement is not appropriate beforehand, you will suffer a disastrous defeat even in the game. Instead of spending countless character points to repeatedly save abnormally and hope that the system will randomly appear with a low probability of winning, it is better to use your brain to think of a countermeasure so that you can get a perfect result with only one system simulation. These days, all walks of life pay attention to professional IQ. Even if you are playing games, you have to adopt certain strategies. It is not the kingly way after all to rush around. According to the advice of the honest man Greed, from the long-term goal of winning the league, the away game against Barcelona is considered a victory, as long as it is a draw, so the team should focus on defense. But Leoli thinks it is not appropriate to do so. The reason is simple. Real Madrid's defense line is simply a pile of shit. You expect offensive maniacs like Marcelo and Ramos to stay in the second half of the game to defend Ronaldinho and Messi for 90 minutes, and expect snails to help you mail 800 miles of express delivery. What's the difference? As long as these hammers can't help but rush up to attack once, Barcelona's all-pervasive front court attack group will seize the opportunity and kill them with one sword. What's more, this is not an ordinary consecutive game. If Real Madrid can beat a strong team like Barcelona away at the beginning of the league, it will not only gain 3 points, but more importantly, the player's self-confidence point. You must know that Real Madrid, as a giant, has been ruthlessly pressed and ravaged by its old enemy for 2 consecutive seasons. The glory and dignity of Real Madrid urgently needs a thorough victory to save. As for Leoli personally, only by defeating the world's best coach like Rijkaard can those flaws who are more annoying than green-headed flies shut up. Moreover, if Real Madrid's defense is a pile of shit, then Barcelona's defense is even worse than shit. The aging theorem. Zambrotta, who is not used to the local climate, plus the Brazilian glass man Edmilson and the short Puel are not much better than Real Madrid's Marcelo and other hammers. Barcelona's only defensive midfielder, the Mexican Rafael Marquez, is a nervous knife, while Real Madrid has a secret weapon, Beckham. In essence, Barcelona is also a team that focuses on offense and neglects defense, but its offensive power in the front court is too terrifying, and it is often easy to achieve the level of attack instead of defense, so it will leave people with the illusion of invincibility. In Li Tongfan's opinion, the Spanish national derby on September 9th should be a battle between spears. There is no need for defense. As long as you stab your opponent to death before you fall, what does a few stabs matter? The key to the battle lies in the secret weapon Beckham. This is why Li Tongfan did not let Beckham start in the first 2 games. Only a knife hidden in the dark can kill with one blow. I want to defeat Barcelona in an upright manner. As for using the modifier in IBM T30, hey, in Leoli's opinion, this is of course considered upright. Isn't there a saying on the football field? Luck is also a part of strength. Since we can start from the street stalls, I found a reality modifier online, which means we have better luck than Rijkaard. Being able to cheat, but not cheating is not noble. That is stupid, of course. As a head coach who advocates democratic centralism, Li Tongfan firmly opposes personal heroism and changing careers arbitrarily, so he seriously expressed his views to assistant coach Grad, hoping to get Leo's support. Who would have thought that Grad listened blankly to what Leoli had said and stared at Li Tongfan, as if he were looking at a Martian, neither agreeing nor disapproving. 1 minute later, no answer. 5 minutes later, still no answer. Old man, please say something. Li Tongfan was anxious, so he decided to use the most terrifying stimulation method and put on a righteous pose. Old Jet, what kind of team do you think Real Madrid should be? Great. Was aimless and answered vaguely, huh, this, what did you say? What's this expression? Leoli bit the bullet and continued to tease this honest man. I think a great team like Real Madrid not only wants to win the championship, but also makes its opponents speechless in shame. Think about it. If we are like a turtle in the next game still playing defense in the second half, even if they win the league championship at the end of the season, those arrogant Catalans will definitely hold their necks high and provoke. Wow, what a bullshit league championship. Weren't we suppressed in half at the beginning? He was beaten like a grandson. Grad still had no reaction. This, what did you say? Strange. What happened? Lee Tongfan was not in a hurry now, because Grad obviously didn't pay attention to what he was saying. But isn't this the style of an honest person like Leo Jet? What's going on here? Just when Leo Lee was hesitating whether to call Gonzalez, the team doctor with a big rosy nose, to come over and check the sluggish grade, Leo Jet suddenly grabbed Leo Lee's shoulders and shook them like an enlightenment. Lee, it's a lunatic. But you're right. I understand damn it. Has Leo Jet gone crazy? Lee Tongfan stepped aside like a frightened kitten and carefully asked Greed, who was in a violent state. Old Jet, what do you understand? I finally understand why I worked hard for more than 10 years to become a small assistant coach, but you are already the head coach at such a young age. Lee, you are a genius full of courage. Oh, I'm sorry, Lee. I have always doubted you. Damn it, that's what it is. Labor and management have another fan. Lee Tongfan suddenly thought triumphantly. I used to think that I was just a talent. Fortunately, Leo Jet reminded me today. It turns out that I'm a fucking genius. With the support of a respectable old man like Greta, the first team coaching staff quickly unified the firm idea of playing against each other at camp now. Lee Tongfan continued to carry forward the motivation method. The coaches of the first team were all excited by Lee Tongfan's impassioned speech, and their adrenal glands rapidly secreted to an extremely dangerous level. Then, Lee Tongfan took advantage of the situation and proposed a crazy 3-4-3 offensive formation, and the enthusiastic coaching staff unanimously approved it. The next thing is, it's Grade and Leo Lee's turn to determine the starting lineup and focus on formation and tactical drills. Leo Lee already has a rough starting candidate in his mind, but he still needs to observe the actual status of the players in the next training. Haha, Hammers, impress me with your actual actions, Lee. Tongfan stood at the edge of the training ground and couldn't help but touch his chin and let out a lewd laugh. The bird that had just returned to its nest among the green leaves in the distance flickered its wings and fled in panic, and the Real Madrid superstars in training couldn't help but shudder. The head coach is crazy again. == Few archived manuscripts have been deleted due to the opinions of the editors. For details, please see Ziodeo's apology letter. I won't be writing about the derby game today. Those who want to watch the game can click here tomorrow. The only reason is that Ziodeo has been brain dead for the past 2 days. We are trying our best to save it. Please give Ziodeo some patience. Chapter 44 Zio Ghostly Curse. After training, Lee Tongfan returned home and decided to use the 3-4-3 formation that he had discussed with the coaching staff today. He simulated a Spanish national derby with Barcelona in the FM 2007 system in advance to see if he could win in one fell swoop. In the starting lineup that Leo Lee chose in the game, the 3 defenders were Cannavero, Joel Luca and Ramos. Cannavero was in the middle, and Joel Luca and Ramos, 2 hammers, were all around warriors who could play on the wing and in the middle, and were on both sides. The 4 midfielders were Beckham. The 2 wingers were the pink and tender little boys Riaz and Robinho, the attacking midfielder Guti, the shadow striker All, and the forwards Fat Ronaldo and Van Nistelrooy, Modric, Roberto Carlos, Marcelo and other crazy people were temporarily on the bench. Barcelona's formation in the game was, as expected, Rijkaard's best 4-3-3, goalkeeper Victor Valdes. 4 defenders were Italian Gianluca Zambrotta, Brazilian Edmilson, Spanish centre-back Carlos Puyol, French legendary defender Lilian Thuram, Mexican midfielder Rafael Marquez, midfielders Deco and Xavi, 3 forwards Samuel Eto'o in the middle, Ronaldinho and Lionel Messi on both sides. The game started. Real Madrid kicked off first. The white and blue-black dots on the screen began to move back and forth excitedly, and a fierce fight broke out. The horizontal bar at the bottom of the screen kept popping up the coquettish commentary translated by the explosion team. The opponent's crude shooting saved his life. If Joel Luca wants to perform acrobatics, he should go to the stage, not the stadium. Riaz. Pass hit the anti-aircraft gun. Did he see his teammates in the air to help? Hallucination. It must be an illusion. At this moment, Ronaldinho is a hero in the hearts of the fans. The audience cheered in the system simulation amid the noise of shouting. The game completely lost suspense in the 60th minute of the second half. Barcelona led 4:1. Ronaldinho made 3 assists and 1 goal. Real Madrid only relied on Ronaldo's super personal ability to pull back a goal. The root cause of this defeat was that Tongfan used the offside instruction and the backline tactical option. As a result, the 3 defenders made frequent mistakes, and Ronaldinho easily seized the gap and completed 3 surgical through balls, assisting Eto'o and Messi to score. In the system rating after the game, the lowest score of Barcelona players was Edmilson's 6 points, and the highest score of Real Madrid was Ronaldo's 5 points. So Tongfan chose sacrifice the angry little universe and kill these losers. In the post-match speech option without hesitation, "Damn, these hammers are really pissing me off." Fortunately, everything happened only in the game, and there was still a chance to push the result and start over again. If it were in reality, the tomatoes and rotten eggs thrown from the stands by the angry Real Madrid fans would have buried Tongfan alive. In the eyes of the fans, even if the first 2 rounds of the league were a killing spree that made people feel like dying, but losing to the arch-rival Barcelona by such an exaggerated score was an absolutely unforgivable crime. Such a result must not be allowed to happen in reality. Tongfan spent 2 points of character points to perform an abnormal save with tears in his eyes. He did not save the score result and loaded the save before the game. Ding. Dong. The system determines that this read is an unconventional operation and deducts 2 points of character points. You currently have 89 points of character points left. In the gloomy reminder of the system, the game time in the FM 2007 system returned to 2 hours ago, and the match between Barcelona and Real Madrid had not yet started. Summarizing the experience of the last failure, Tongfan made adjustments in the team instructions. In-game mentality, the offensive instructions were strengthened, and the offensive strategy was still pursued, in freedom. The players were given more freedom, so that the talented players in the team could better play their creativity and talent. In passing method, long passes were selected. The height and strength of Barcelona's central defenders are their weaknesses. In this way, with Van Nistelrooy as the bridgehead, Ronaldo's skills and Raul's ability to grab points can be fully utilized. In-game rhythm, fast was selected, so Barcelona could not be given time to pass and control the ball calmly. In pressing, often was selected. In delaying time, never was selected. In defense line, choose recover, don't be silly and create offside. Choose fierce for tackle, choose Van Nistelrooy for passing focus. The king of the Dutch small penalty area should work hard. Choose zone defense for marking. After choosing the tactics, Tongfan restarted the game with a more nervous mood than a virgin groom entering the bridal chamber. This time the score was 3:3, and Ronaldinho still dominated the game, but Real Madrid relied on the 7 players in the front court to bombard the ball, making Valdés pick up the ball from the goal 3 times with a fierce look on his face. After all the efforts, he only got a draw, which was definitely not the result that Leoli wanted. Whether it is Tongfan or Real Madrid fans, defeating Barcelona once away is far better than winning 10 consecutive league games. Soli is determined to win a big victory. The world is like a chess game, and one move can win a great cause. Tongfan wants to prove his strength to the world by stepping on the blood and corpses of strong teams like Barcelona. What's the point of consuming 2 points of character? Come again! 3:2. Barcelona wins! 4:4. Another draw! 2:0. Lost so badly that he didn't even have underwear! 1:1. Leading for 90 minutes, Ronaldinho scored a free kick in injury time. Crying until 2 o'clock in the middle of the night, Tongfan was still staring at the computer screen with his eyes wide open. The score of 4:0 was so eye-catching, and Ronaldinho's name was like a mysterious curse, which made Tongfan consume 20 points of luck without realizing it. In other words, Leoli was like a gambler who had lost all his money. He had saved the game abnormally 10 times without realizing it, but he didn't get the result he wanted. The best score was just a draw without any nutrition. Damn it, this is forcing me to cheat. Tongfan was angry. As long as you open FM millimeters and modify Barcelona's players into idiots on the court, you can definitely achieve the goal of winning without fighting in an instant. But isn't this too much? Doing this is simply forcing. Forcing what? It is reasonable for the victim to resist, but just beating him to death for the sake of convenience, wouldn't that be raping the corpse or something, without the fun of resistance? What's the point? Barcelona is a proud and arrogant iceberg beauty in Lee Tongfan's eyes. He must make her lose sincerely and kneel on the ground to sing conquer is Leoli's ultimate pursuit. But if he keeps simulating with the FM 2007 system, when will it end? Maybe when the character points are exhausted and the insidious system happily wipes out. He will not be able to beat Barcelona once. In that case, he will be very pretentious this time. So Lee Tongfan stared at the screen, hesitating between pretending to be B or not. For the wretched man Lee Tongfan who has no sense of direction, this is a difficult choice. After 4 minutes and a quarter, Leoli made a very shameless decision to modify Ronaldinho. After carefully analyzing these 10 system simulations, Barcelona's 80% of goals are related to this midfield magician. It seems that, if Real Madrid does not catch this extremely happy Brazilian bucktooth and lock him in a small black room for a while, Real Madrid will really not be able to pass the national derby, the king of the mountain. It's strange to say, both Ronaldo and Beckham are enhanced monsters after training. How come the two hammers together can't beat the original bucktooth Ronaldo? Maybe the only explanation is that Barcelona is stronger as a whole, and the tactical execution is more skillful. Lee Tongfan clicked on FM millimeters to read the game archive, and then entered Ronaldinho's name in the search window. Soon, Ronaldinho's data appeared on the computer screen. Current ability equals 195. Potential ability equals 197. International reputation equals 10,000. Domestic reputation equals 10,000. There is no need to look at other values. Just the current ability and potential ability make Leoli call him a monster. Lee Tongfan has begun to suspect whether Rijkaard also has an FM 2007 system hidden in his computer. Otherwise, how can Ronaldinho's values be so amazing? There are two ways to quickly reduce Ronaldinho's ability in a short period of time. One is to modify each item in his ability category one by one, such as dribbling, shooting, creativity, passing, stopping the ball, etc. But doing so consumes too many character points. Lee Tongfan counted on his fingers and found that even if he selected key items for modification, he would have to consume at least a dozen character points. It was too wasteful, and it was definitely not something that an economical man like Lee Tongfan could afford. So Leoli decided to take the second approach and directly reduce the current ability and potential ability of Ronaldinho. In this way, in reality, within 3 or 2 days, the magician will turn into a club on the court. And there are still 3 days before the Spanish national derby, which is just right in terms of time. It seems that 30,000 clicks have been deducted, which is strange. Updated in advance, guys continue to support Xiaodao. Crazy votes. Chapter 45 A Fatal Game. Everyone thought that Lee Tongfan's words and deeds before the game were crazy, but only Lee himself knew that he was just strictly following the results of the FM 2007 system simulation. Because after countless system simulations failed that night, the furious Lee Tongfan couldn't help but use the coach communication option to start a rude quarrel with Rijkaard in the game. As a result, after the quarrel, the game simulation was unexpectedly, at 1900 hours local time in Spain, at the whistle of the referee Fernando Wittens. From the beginning of the game, Barcelona fans cheered for the home team non-stop, and the red and blue dyed the night of Camp Nou red, as all fans expected. This was an extremely fierce offensive battle. Raul got the ball when tossing the coin. An attack launched by Real Madrid less than a minute after the start of the game almost made the hearts of more than 620 million Barcelona fans jump out of their throats. After Raul kicked off, he passed the ball back to Beckham, who was playing as the team's defensive midfielder for the first time. While receiving the ball, Beckham observed the position of his teammates and found that Ronaldo had flown to the vicinity of Barcelona's penalty area. He immediately made a long pass without hesitation. The wide range and accurate pass of the heartthrob is definitely a killer weapon comparable to Xiaoli's flying knife. The ball passed over the head of Barcelona's defensive midfielder and accurately landed between the alien and Edmilson. The two were in the same line at the moment. as long as the alien took the ball and turned to break through. Even if there were 10 Edmilsons, they would probably have to follow behind and eat dust. You should know that at this time, it was no more than 20 seconds before the referee blew the opening whistle. Barcelona's defenders were still jumping around to find their feelings. Who would have expected Beckham to be so shameless and launched a blitzkrieg without making a sound? By the time they reacted, the football had already reached the feet of the even more shameless fat Ronaldo. The first person to realize that something was wrong was Edmilson, a Brazilian fellow countryman who was closest to Ronaldo. Edmilson, who was originally preparing to clap his hands with the fat fellow and ask a few "have you eaten?" and other common greetings when meeting fellow villagers, instantly threw the friendship of fellow villagers to Java Island. In a hurry, the Brazilian central defender screamed and came up with a gust of wind and falling leaf sweeping kick. Unfortunately, Ronaldo was already a Super Saiyan processed by Tongfan at this time. He poked his toes lightly, jumped up and avoided Edmilson's ultimate move, and then smeared into the penalty area. Just when he was about to do a coquettish pendulum-style pass to pretend to be cool, he found that the force of the poke was a little bit too much, and Barcelona's head Valdes was worthy of being a strong man with a game concentration value of 18. He got the ball out of the sideline before the fat man, who more than 80,000 artificial exhaust fans in the stands were operating collectively, and the sound of fans sucking in cold air formed a strange sound wave. As frightening as a cat scratching glass, the fans at the scene couldn't help but hold their heads in their hands. Barcelona fans were too excited to open their eyes to watch the thrilling scene, while Real Madrid fans were very upset because of the failed attack. In Barcelona's penalty area, Edmilson crawled on the grass to scratch the grass, Valdes wiped the cold sweat from his head, and Ronaldo kicked the goalpost in dismay. In the Barcelona coaching seat, Rijkaard couldn't help but run to the sidelines and whistled loudly to signal the players to concentrate. While Real Madrid coach Tongfan also ran to the sidelines provocatively, waving his hands and asking Real Madrid players to continue to press forward and attack. The smell of gunpowder was ignited from this moment, so that even the fourth official had to come over and ask the two head coaches to stay calm and sit back in the coaching seat. When Tongfan turned back, he glanced at Rijkaard with his peripheral vision and found that this black guy was looking at him with murderous intent. As the game progressed, Barcelona gradually began to take the initiative on the field. After all, it was at home. Real Madrid gave them a very unfriendly blow at the beginning. The red and blue warriors decided to fight back. Under the careful coordination of the metronome Uncle Xavi, Barcelona quickly launched two extremely threatening attacks. The Black Pantheretta received a low cross from Messi after a breakthrough on the right, and his shot was saved by the quick reacting San Casillas. Ronaldinho got the ball on the wing and shook off the rash rush of Ramos, and cut inside, and shot a long shot that hit the crossbar, and went out of the bottom line, except for the offensive after the opening. Barcelona completely occupied the next 18 minutes. The team had the advantage on the field. Real Madrid's single defensive midfielder Beckham seemed to have not entered the game state. He made many mistakes in midfield interception. Attacking midfielder Guti became invisible under the joint stranglehold of Marquez and Motta. Listen to the cheers of the night at Camp Nou. The home team Barcelona has completely taken the advantage on the field. Rijkaard's team has maintained its usual stability and smoothness, while Real Madrid is completely lost in the desperate offensive tactics of their young head coach Tongfan. As an avid Barcelona fan, the onside commentator spared no effort to cheer for the home team. It seems that the first two victories against the bottom teams have made the 22-year-old head coach lose his direction. This game was broadcast live on satellite to many countries around the world, and CCTV5 was no exception. Countless Chinese fans who stayed up late to watch the game heard commentator Duan Zuan's game analysis. Real Madrid is now completely at a disadvantage. According to technical statistics judging from the results, Barcelona's ball possession rate has exceeded 65%, and the situation is quite unfavorable for Tongfan. He needs to make changes as soon as possible, brother. Duan Zuan's melancholic magnetic baritone revealed anxiety, and the Chinese fans who stayed up late to watch the game in front of the TV were even more anxious than him. Countless fanatical fans were already eager to get into the TV and go live for their own idle cheers. This is your first gorgeous performance. Don't let our last glimmer of hope, which has been completely disappointed with Chinese football, be dashed. All the rice buckets are praying in their hearts. We are shouting in the stadium. We are Barcelona fans. We come from all directions, regardless of age and skin color. The flag is flying high. Blue and purple are its colors. The team is fighting bravely. Let us shout its name: Barcelona, Barcelona, Barcelona. No one is your opponent. The powerful Barcelona is invincible. As Barcelona's offensive became more and more fierce, the emotions of the Barcelona fans at the scene became more and more high. Everyone stood up from their seats and chanted the Barcelona team anthem. The red and blue flags were flying in the stands of Camp Nou. So much so that the less than 20,000 Madrid fans who came to cheer for Real Madrid in the away game were like small barges in a storm, disappearing in the red and blue waves in an instant. If the situation continues, from any point of view, what will greet Real Madrid in 90 minutes will be a humiliating defeat, intentionally or unintentionally. The live camera kept focusing on Tongfan. On the Real Madrid coaching bench, people found that the young coach had been sitting steadily on the chair, constantly turning his head to chat and laugh with the anxious assistant coach Greed, without showing any emotion. He looked anxious at all, as if the 11 disheveled Real Madrid players who had been molested by the wolf-like Barcelona players on the court had nothing to do with him. Instead, Barcelona's head coach Rijkaard stood on the sidelines and whistled repeatedly, asking his players to press forward as much as possible and score first. No one knew that Rijkaard was becoming more and more uneasy. It was an inexplicable anxiety. Under such a situation, the young head coach of the opponent looked confident. Could it be that he had overlooked some important information? Although everyone was not optimistic about the arrogant young coach, Rijkaard gave the Chinese full respect during the preparations before the game. Black Swan carefully watched the results of Real Madrid's first 2 games. In the video, he discovered a very strange phenomenon. Tongfan seemed to have an ability to predict the future, an incredible intuition that could accurately predict the trend of the game. 30 minutes into Real Madrid's first game against Mallorca, this young coach, whom everyone looked down upon, faced the boos of the Mallorca fans and deliberately asked Joel Luca to go to the opponent's back post to fight for the ball. Grabbing a header, the young Real Madrid central defender easily scored a goal, although Tongfan's anxious expression at that time looked extremely funny. If a careful analysis is done, it will definitely give rise to an illusion. Tongfan actually knew that he would definitely score a goal at the back post. Such a strange thing also happened in Real Madrid's home game against Getafe. In the 35th minute of the game, it was Tongfan who was standing on the sidelines who stopped Ronaldo and asked midfielder Modric to take a penalty at the front of the penalty area. The ball was scored again. What a terrifying ability to predict. Is this a gut feeling? After watching the videos of these 2 games, Rijkaard had more and more doubts in his mind. It was not until Tongfan announced the starting list for the El Clasico in advance in a column in Marca that Rijkaard finally determined what he wanted in his heart. Conclusion: Tongfan really has a terrible intuition, because except for madmen, no one dares to make such an arrogant oath before a football match. Barcelona, the double champion in 2006, also lost to a little-known team in the Spanish second division in the Copa del Rey last season. Football in this world, there are never absolutes. The round football always seems to bring people unexpected joy and anger. Although the media gave him the nickname Madman, Rijkaard did not think that Tongfan was really a madman. There is only one possibility for this young coach to be so confident and unscrupulous. This mysterious Chinese saw the result of the game with his terrible intuition. == THIS is the second update today. I have to go out with my girlfriend in the afternoon, so I updated it in advance. I wanted to explode during the game. Now I can only check to see if there is still time to code. In addition, the book club group in the introduction is full. If you want to join the group, please enter. 71,733,893. New group. Thank you all. Chapter 46. The substitute goalkeeper warms up in advance. This is an extremely absurd conclusion, but it made Rijkaard tremble with fear and tread on thin ice from the moment the game started. In the starting lineup, Thiago Motta, who has stronger defensive ability, replaced the attacking midfielder Deco. This was out of consideration. Although Barcelona has always firmly occupied the advantage on the field, looking at Lee Tongfan's calm expression of everything is under control, Rijkaard now hopes that the team will score as soon as possible and put the game completely on Barcelona's track. It seems that the young coach of Real Madrid finally couldn't sit still anymore. He asked the substitute players to warm up. Which player did Lee not like? Oh my god, it was Diego Lopez, the commentator exclaimed. Is he not satisfied with Casillas' performance? If it weren't for Igor's heroic save, Barcelona would have scored a goal long ago. The camera was pointed at the sidelines, and people were surprised to find that Diego Lopez, the substitute goalkeeper of Real Madrid, was jogging back and forth to warm up on the sidelines, as if he was preparing to play. Is Lee Tongfan going to replace Casillas, who has saved 5 or 6 goals that Barcelona must score since the start of the game? This scene puzzled everyone at the scene. Did this young coach naively think that by replacing a goalkeeper, Real Madrid could reverse the decline? This is really a joke. Not to mention the irreplaceable role of Casillas on the field. Who doesn't know that Diego Lopez spent more time on the bench than he did sleeping in bed? What is he going to do? Pick up the ball from the goal? Barcelona fans laughed and even stood up to applaud Lee Tongfan's wise decision, while Real Madrid fans didn't know what to do for a moment. Applaud or boo. Rijkaard, who was standing on the sidelines, saw this scene and couldn't help but wonder what was going on. Change the goalkeeper. Was his previous analysis wrong? In fact, this young Chinese man only scored goals in the previous few times because he was lucky. Just when people were focusing their attention on the sidelines, the situation on the field changed dramatically. The cunning Ronaldinho wandered to the middle of the front court without knowing when. After getting the ball, he made a typical feint to the east and made a coquettish through pass. The ball slipped past David Beckham's crotch. Argentina's golden boy Messi got the ball and then changed direction 3 times in a row at high speed, shaking the Real Madrid central defender Cannavaro, who was forced to defend and passed the opponent and broke into the penalty area alone. Messi, good opportunity. Beautiful fake move. Cannavaro was shaken away. Single shot. Guayaquil. Casillas is out. Messi, the action was too fast and he dribbled past the goalkeeper. The goal was empty, but he didn't score. Messi fell in the penalty area. Casillas fouled the handsome head of Real Madrid. Casillas was furious when Messi rushed into his penalty area. After failing to intercept the ball, he chose to intercept the player like many goalkeepers who were too arrogant. So the little boy Messi, who was running at high speed, suddenly fell in the penalty area of Real Madrid in a very standard dog-eating shit posture, sliding forward 4 or 5 meters. That was because Casillas shamelessly and secretly sent out a terrifying big move cripple. And the Argentine golden boy was unfortunately hit. Tragedy. Penalty. Definitely a penalty. The commentator screamed with red eyes like a Angora rabbit whose tail was stepped on. This is a deliberate foul. Casillas pulled Messi. Yes, 100% penalty. It looks like a deliberate foul. Let's see how the referee decides. Penalty. It's a penalty. The situation is even more unfavorable for Real Madrid now. What happened? Real Madrid's players surrounded the referee. The referee showed the red card to goalkeeper Casillas. In the first half, at 25 minutes and 43 seconds into the game, the Real Madrid goalkeeper received a red card. CCTV5 commentator Duan Zuan spoke out everyone's inner thoughts. The situation has become more severe for Real Madrid. That's right. The referee Fernando Wittens, who was responsible for the glorious mission of fighting all stadium violence, blew the whistle to stop the game the moment Casillas pulled Messi, and mercilessly rewarded Casillas with a Ruby God of War card. What a sharp-eyed Fernando Wittens. Casillas' hidden cruelty was clearly seen by him, and this red card was not unfair. Because of the Ruby God of War card with experience reward, Casillas quickly reached the maximum level and will be forced to leave the novice village camp now and become a spectator in the 2006-07 Spanish national derby. Less than 40 minutes into the first half, Real Madrid lost their most stable link in the backline, the head. Casillas. Real Madrid players surrounding the referee to argue did not change the bad situation. The frustrated Casillas accepted the comfort of his teammates and slowly walked off the field. Penalty kick and red card. This is the result Casillas handed over in the first derby of the season. In contrast, Valdez, the long-time substitute in the Spanish national team, saved the alien Fernando's quasi-single shot in the first minute of the game. This was the third highlight of the derby that the media was clamoring for before the game. Casillas vs Valdes. Valdes win. It wasn't until the moment when the young Casillas walked off the field with wet eyes that the more than 89,000 spectators at Camp Nou suddenly understood what a wise thing it was for Lee Tongfan to let the substitute goalkeeper Diego Lopez warm up in advance. If there is no warm-up, this little goalkeeper, who is only 24 years old, but has wasted 4 years on the Bernabeu bench, will become a complete coffee table cup. Buffon, the number 1 player in the world, also had to stretch his arms and legs to warm up before taking the field. However, even if the warm-up is carried out, can Real Madrid be able to keep a glimmer of hope in the magician's penalty kick line? The Barcelona fans spared no effort to boo in the stands, trying to boo the rookie who came on stage in a hurry. As long as it doesn't break the law, fans are willing to do anything to create pressure on opposing players. The camera focused on the substitute goalkeeper standing on the sidelines waiting to come on. Lee Tongfan replaced Real Madrid midfielder Guti with Diego Lopez, so Raul had to retreat to the midfielder position to organize the ball with Beckham. The team's attack. Diego Lopez is a typical Spanish young lady. In the camera, the young man's thick brown hair is very conspicuous, and his slightly cyan face is filled with nervousness that cannot be concealed. Although his boss asked him to warm up in advance, he never dreamed that he would actually get a chance to play at such a critical moment. As a loyal Real Madrid fan, Diego Lopez would rather not get a chance to play than the team's goalkeeper to be sent off. Casillas' red card almost ruined the last bit of luck in the hearts of all Real Madrid fans. Nervous emotions enveloped little Diego's whole body, so much so that Lee Tongfan appeared next to him like a dragon wagging its tail ghostly, and when he patted him on the shoulder, the little young lady was severely frightened. "Hey, kid, don't be nervous. I'll tell you a trick to save a penalty kick." Lee Tongfan leaned into Diego Lopez's ear and said in a sneaky way, "When that big bucktooth takes a penalty kick, just go to the lower right corner. Relax, Diego. Even if the opponent scores a penalty at this time, no one will blame you. Big buck teeth. Bottom right corner." Poor Diego Lopez firmly remembered the coach's words and forced out a smile that was uglier than crying. The camera happened to record this scene, and the onside commentator was somewhat gloating. Lee is teaching his goalkeeper how to save penalty kicks. Does he think he is a god who predicts the future? Coaxin. Line with the ridicule of this ill-intentioned man. The Barcelona fans burst into laughter at the right time. Casillas ran to the sidelines, gently hugged Diego Lopez, who looked nervous, and then slowly walked to the player tunnel. When passing Lee Tongfan, he lowered his head and did not dare to look at Leoli. "Boss, I'm sorry. I did not follow your request. Believe in your teammates, Igor. We will definitely return to Madrid with victory." Lee Tongfan patted Casillas hard on the shoulder. "Cheer for your teammates in the tunnel. As for the foul just now, that's what any goalkeeper would do in that situation, and you're not wrong, so." The grateful Saint Cassie gave Leoli his second hug after receiving the Ruby God of War card, because he clearly remembered that at the last moment, when he entered the venue from the locker room before the game, Lee Tongfan left a few words of his own. "Igor, if you meet the opponent's kid during the game, if the short winger Messi scores a one-on-one goal, don't foul. It doesn't matter if you get scored. The team needs you to stay on the field." Although the head coach had been vaccinated in advance, he still made a stupid and low-level mistake. Not only did he give the opponent a penalty kick, but he also put the team into a bad situation with one less player. He originally thought that he would be slapped in the face by the head coach after a lot of scolding. In fact, if this was the case, Cassie felt that she might feel better inside. Who knew that Lee would stand on her side without hesitation? So Casillas stood in the player tunnel, looking at Lee Tongfan, who was explaining to Guti, who was replaced by Diego Lopez, and suddenly realized that this young head coach who was a bit careless was actually not bad. == The third update today. I was pushed hard by the people, and there may be a lot of typos. Forgive me. Find time to revise it later. Thank you for being drunk but not drunk. Book friend 730,143,938. Unknown name. Dragon and the Rain. Mr. Duanfang. Potato has become a spirit 20th 198,911. Zuayuksun. Harbin Weni Kayang. Ignorant Pumpkin. 380,455. Book friends 0805312215285553 will give you a big reward. I'll update it again around 12 o'clock. I don't want to keep everyone from seeing the goal. I can't bear the feeling of being scolded. I will try to finish writing the competition tomorrow, and I will probably update it in the afternoon. Introduction. The book club is full. If you like it, add this one. 71,733,893, 118,030,020 Chapter 47. The rookie saves a penalty and Ronaldo and -039. S3 games. The vice captain of Real Madrid, Guti, also had the same idea. For any player, being substituted before the start of a world-renowned game like the National Derby is an insult. So when he walked to the sidelines with a class struggle look on his face and was about to throw his shoes to express his dissatisfaction, Lee Tongfan came over and hugged him naturally and said softly, "Sorry, Guti, this situation will not happen again, I promise." Guti was stunned for a moment and half of his resentment disappeared immediately. In fact, the Golden Wolf is not an unreasonable person. Among the 10 players left on the field, if he must replace the next one, it can only be himself in the front midfield position. There are already fewer people on the back line. Among the few people in the front field, only his position can be adjusted without disrupting the previous tactical arrangements. The reason for being unhappy is very simple, that is, losing face. However, since the coach has apologized to himself in front of more than 90,000 fans and given enough face, what else is there to be dissatisfied with? So Guti immediately hugged back and took the initiative to smile and applaud the audience. This scene disappointed the conspirators who had ulterior motives in front of the camera. Flaws and others who had originally planned to use Guti's violent temper to create a farce of discord between the general and the coach gave up in dismay. It seems that this young Chinese rookie is not as stupid as they imagined. The few Real Madrid fans at the scene applauded with their greatest strength. Such a united scene has not been seen in Real Madrid games for a long time. Lee Tongfan gave them a scene that made them happier than winning. Of course, it would be better to win. But this game seems. The game continues. The penalty kick was taken by Ronaldinho, the core midfielder of Barcelona. The Brazilian has always been the team's #1 penalty shooter. All the players left the penalty area. Ronaldinho picked up the football and kissed it, and then carefully placed it on the penalty spot. The Brazilian firmly believed that, as long as this penalty kick was scored, the Real Madrid players who were still struggling to fight a trapped beast would completely collapse. Although Barcelona's attack was fierce before, Real Madrid was like a wobbly tumbler, always able to survive the most dangerous moment. This penalty kick would be the fatal blow to change such a tense situation. Facing the nervous substitute goalkeeper on the opponent's goal line, Ronaldinho had 1,000 ways to score the ball, but at such a critical moment, he chose to do a safe one-arch shot. Ronaldinho pushed the ball hard to the lower right corner of the goal. This is a theoretical dead corner. The Brazilian magician's footwork is worthy of being the best in the world. The football whistled and rushed towards the Real Madrid goal like lightning. Cheer. Barcelona fans in the stands have jumped up to cheer for the goal, but the tide of cheers stopped immediately after less than a second. Just like men and women after the climax, all collapsed on their seats, because Diego Lopez, the Real Madrid substitute goalkeeper who came on the field in a hurry, easily suppressed Ronaldinho's penalty kick that was just a second away, as if he had known that Ronaldinho would kick the ball to the lower right corner of the goal. This nervous little boy started moving to the lower right corner of the goal before Ronaldinho kicked the ball. When the ball came over, Lopez only needed to do a standard side dive as usual, and then the ball was firmly caught in his hand. After the Barcelona fans were silent, the Real Madrid fans finally made their voices heard. 20,000 people may not be a lot, but the noise they made was enough to make Ronaldinho, who missed the penalty kick, hold his head in shame. The Brazilian, who was full of confidence just now, was like a well-equipped hunter who went into the mountains aggressively to catch some rabbits, foxes and other small things, but was shocked to find that he was actually a hungry tiger, and Diego Lopez was a little tiger underestimated by everyone. Diego Lopez saved the penalty. Oh. Got Ronaldinho's penalty was too slow, and Real Madrid substitute goalkeeper easily took it. This is really. The commentator was very disappointed with the missed penalty. In fact, Ronaldinho's penalty was at a good speed and angle, so what was too slow? The excited Duan Zuanj had a completely different reaction. The ball was saved. Incredible. It's incredible. The substitute goalkeeper Diego Lopez saved Real Madrid at the critical moment. We saw that before Casillas got a red card, the young Chinese coach let Lopez warm up in advance. This was an extremely wise decision. Real Madrid escaped a disaster after Diego Lopez pressed the ball under him. His mind was still blank. Was it really in the lower right corner? He remembered the little trick for saving penalties that Lee Tongfan told him before he went on the court. He didn't expect it to be so effective. Did the boss know where Ronaldinho would kick the ball? The little boy raised his head and saw Lee Tongfan standing next to the coach's seat, giving him a thumbs up. The cheers of Real Madrid fans suddenly became clear in his ears. Lopez quickly stood up and observed the situation on the field. He used all his strength to throw the ball to the alien fat Ronaldo, who was waving his arms in the distance to ask for the ball. This is a good opportunity to counter-attack when the penalty kick was taken, except for goalkeeper Valdes and centre-back Puyol, who stayed in the backcourt to defend. The 11 Barcelona players basically stood at the front of Real Madrid's penalty area point in the eyes of the Barcelona players. Ronaldinho can 100% score the penalty kick. The next thing they have to do is to watch Ronaldinho score the ball, then hug each other to celebrate in the Real Madrid penalty area, then go to the midfield to kick off again, and then score the next goal, because this ugly and festive Brazilian star has never let them down. So when Diego Lopez saved the penalty kick and threw the ball vigorously to Ronaldo, the Barcelona players were collectively distracted. Thiago Motta and Marquez, the two fastest defenders, can no longer keep up with Ronaldo. As for the other central defender, Uncle Edmilson, his speed has slowed down because of his age. This time he even used big moves. The chance of falling leaves and the autumn wind sweeping away the whole's legs is gone. Only Puyol, the golden retriever lion, is left on the alien's flight path. Round 1. Alien Fedielio vs Golden Retriever Lion King Puyol. Geo. In order to slow down Ronaldo's sprinting speed, Puyol carefully blocked Ronaldo's dribbling route while slowly retreating. As long as Ronaldo's dribbling speed slowed down, Motta and Marcus were chasing after him with all their strength. Quez can rush over to double attack, and this ball is guaranteed. The golden retriever Lion King retreated with small steps, constantly releasing his coercion. However, aliens are experienced in many battles, so how can they fall for his tricks, let alone an enhanced version of a loser with full anger? The fat man shook his big fat, but shamelessly at high speed several times, and his continuous false moves made Puyol hesitate a little. At the moment when the golden retriever Lion King's center of gravity was unstable, his acceleration suddenly reached 70 yards. A lustful human ball passed by, whizzing past Puyol, so fast. Ronaldo's high-speed change of the ball this time was no less impressive than Messi's high-frequency change of direction in the Real Madrid penalty area to get rid of Cannavaro. Round 1. Alien vs Golden Retriever Lion King. Alien win. After passing Puyol, there is only the bald Valdes in front of Barcelona's goal. Round 2. Alien Fedielio vs Bald Uncle Valdes. Geo. In the attack less than a minute into the game, Valdez's children's shoe successfully defused the alien single blow. So this time, when he saw Fedielio coming to kill him again, the big bald man was not surprised but happy, and the opportunity to perform came again. Well, the fat guy seems to have passed the ball a little too far this time. Valdez has reason to believe that he can shovel the football out of the sideline before Fat Luo controls the ball. Bring it on. The big bald head screamed and unleashed his special move, the big sliding tackle to steal the ball. Looking at Valdez, who rushed out of the small penalty area and tackled with a murderous look on his face, Ronaldo smiled sinisterly. His recovered knee allowed him to regain unparalleled explosive power, just like in 1998 at the Nou Camp when two opponents, as if the central defender was flying past the goalkeeper. Philo was a little faster in an instant, and he dunked the football before Valdez. The bald man Valdez's feet scraped the turf and slid to the other side. And in front of Ronaldo, there was only an empty goal, let alone aliens at this time. Even a 3-year-old kid who has just learned to run can easily kick the ball into the goal. Round 2. Alien Feniluo vs Bald Uncle Valdez. Alien win. After teasing Valds, the fat man was about to slowly roll the ball into the empty goal when his ankle suddenly tightened, and a not very strong force secretly tugged on his supporting foot. Fuck, that shameless bald goalkeeper actually committed a foul at this time. This damn thing was in Barcelona's penalty area. Isn't he afraid that, like Casillas, he will apply for a Ruby God of War card and be forcibly expelled from the Nou Camp Park field? Feliuo was like a stumbling fat hen. After barely flying for a meter or two in midair, he fell to the lawn in embarrassment. Sure enough, the referee's whistle sounded. Round 3. Alien Ronaldo vs referee Fernando Wittens. Geo. To be honest, the gleaming knife code has turned into a kitchen knife with gaps everywhere. This update is for tomorrow, so thank you to Harbin Wei Kayang, Concubine Ziang, Book Friends 10,50,318,331,477 U24,613, and Ancient Taoist for their generous rewards. There will be a battle of wits between the head coaches. Please let Pigfoot grow up, he is still a rookie. Thank you Huanayu Dada for your pertinent advice. Zyodeo has benefited a lot. I was pushed too hard by the bosses, there must be typos, so I went back and corrected them. I went to bed, I was so sleepy. 15 hours of coding. Chapter 48 Ronaldo lost, and Leo Lion-039, S lecture. Round 3, Alien Ronaldo vs referee Fernando Wittens. Geo. Ronaldo was like a wronged little kid, lying inside the Barcelona stadium, and starting to pretend to be dead, twisting around in pain, while Valds desperately got up from the ground, raised his hands high above his head, and he stared at Fernando Wittens with a pure and pitiful face, indicating that he had not committed any foul behavior. Valdez's movements were actually very subtle. He just touched Philo's ankle with his arm on the ground at the moment when the shovels passed by each other, and then he pulled away at the touch. Penalty. Kick. This is definitely a penalty kick. CCTV 5 commentator Duan Zuan Gigi moved. In the 40th minute of the first half, Barcelona goalkeeper Valds pulled Ronaldo in his penalty area. Oh, this game is so dramatic. According to the referee's penalty scale for Casillas, it seems that Valds will also receive a red card. The Barcelona fans in the stands fell into silence, while the Real Madrid fans erupted into boos and applause like a tsunami. The boos were for the sinister bald Uncle Valds, and the applause was for Ronaldo, who was lying on the grass and pretending to be dead. Under the spotlight, Fernando Wittens took out a piece of paper from the treasure bag on his chest. Well, a piece of paper, a Topaz War God card, and the player who received the Topaz God of War card was actually Ronaldo. What's going on? A yellow card. The referee ruled that Ronaldo dived. Let's take a look at slow motion. This is an obvious foul. Valdez's arm pulled Ronaldo's ankle. This is an obvious misjudgment. The referee Fernando Wittens made a serious mistake in officiating this game. The camera on the TV screen repeatedly replayed the scene in the penalty area. Anyone who understands the rules of football will understand what happened. So brother Duan Zuan was very excited. Even more excited than him were the fans who were watching in front of the TV. At this moment, countless resentments rose from the fertile soil of China's 9.6 million square meters of power and soared toward the man wearing the uniform at Camp Nou in Spain. The middle-aged uncle in the blue referee uniform. Ronaldo couldn't believe his eyes when he received the yellow card. Is this referee short-sighted? Did he forget to wear his contact lenses? Fernando Wittens had no expression on his face and turned a blind eye to Ronaldo's excuse. He waved his hand to signal the alien to go away immediately, otherwise he would be given a red card. Round 3. Alien Ronaldo vs cold-face judge Fernando Wittens. Ronaldo lost in less than a minute. Real Madrid fans and Barcelona fans experienced ice and fire, so that more than 90,000 people fell into an inexplicable excitement, booing, applauding, cursing, singing. The Camp Nou stadium has become a coliseum where devils dance wildly. The live camera shrewdly focused on the two coaches. Rijkaard was looking at Lee Tongfan with jaws on his face, while Lee Tongfan was looking at the referee Fernando Wittens with jaws on his face. Damn it, did this guy ever go to the Chinese Football Association to study abroad? The black whistlers in the middle and rough leagues don't dare to play like this, although the result has been known from the FM 2007 system. How can the 2D screen demonstration on the computer be as realistic as the live one? Seeing Fernando's ugly performance up close, Lee Tongfan couldn't hold back his temper. Damn it, please appeal to labor and management. Labor and management want to watch the hockey replay. Just as Lee Tongfan was about to rush forward to greet the referee's direct female blood relatives, assistant coach Grad rushed up and grabbed him, so that Lee Tongfan didn't even have time to raise his middle finger. Lee, calm down, calm down, calm down, Leo. Jay was probably furious. Apart from the word calm down, he was trembling and unable to say anything else. However, his last trace of reason allowed this steady middle-aged man to restrain his excitement. Leo Lee struggled twice, but couldn't break free, so he gave up angrily. Damn it, this is not over yet. Leo Lee decided to sacrifice more than 100 kilograms of pork belly and severely criticized the biased referee at the press conference after the game. After the Real Madrid players surrounded the referee to protest to no avail, the game continued. Perhaps affected by these two dramatic incidents, the players of both teams played a little cautiously in the rest of the first half. Barcelona did not take advantage of the 11-on-10 attack to launch a fierce attack until Fernando Wittens blew the whistle. The whistle sounded at the end of the first half, and the score was still 0-0. Perhaps knowing that he was in the wrong, the onside commentator stopped sarcastic about the Real Madrid players and their young coach. Although there was no goal in the first half, the game was definitely thrilling, so all the fans applauded when the players walked to the locker room. As expected before the game was exciting. This is what the fans want. Real Madrid dressing room. The Real Madrid superstars had towels hanging around their necks, their hair wet on their foreheads, and they were sitting on stools gasping for air, especially Beckham, who was the starting midfielder for the first time, and Real and Robinho. As if it had just been fished out of the pool, water can seep out of the jersey. During the game, Barcelona's offensive came one after another. Beckham kept intercepting back and forth, while Real and Robinho repeatedly sprinted on the wing according to Lee Tongfan's requirements, not only to return to defense, but also to maintain control of the opponent's backcourt. The threat, so the three of them are the most physically demanding players in the team. In an away game, goalkeeper Casillas was sent off again with a red card. The next 45 minutes will be a severe test for Real Madrid. Lee Tongfan secretly took a look at the frustrated Hammers outside the locker room. He felt that he had said something else, so he deliberately used all the Hammers to attract everyone's attention, and then barged in with a coquettish look on his face. Hey, guys, what's going on? Oh, are you going to cry? I originally wanted to praise my players, but who knew they were scared to death by a group of cowards in the stands? What? Leo Lee said, is so damn damaging. Real Madrid's players are all hot-blooded young men, and their eyes are blood red from being so excited. One by one, their necks were stiff, and they were thrown to the ground with towels to wipe their sweat. If the powder-mouthed bastard in front of them was not their head coach, then they wouldn't mind letting Leo Lee know why Hua is so red. Assistant coach Grad also thought that Leo Lee was so angry that he fainted, so he stood behind and secretly gave Lee Tongfan a hand. Leo Lee ignored him and continued to use the method of motivating generals. What? You all have character. You can't even protect your teammates, so character is useless? Why can you only have 10 people on the field now? Cannavaro stuffed his bald head into his crotch. Gianluca and Ramos also lowered their heads in shame. Casillas was sent off with a red card. The first person responsible was his three brothers. Especially the handsome Italian bald Cannavaro. His nose and eyes were crooked by the 19-year-old Messi. Beckham's face didn't look good either. Ronaldinho's through ball was passed from his position. Seeing that they were almost agitated, Leoli decided to give the Hammers some relief. Blaming them alone would not solve the problem. As long as they roused their fighting spirit, they would achieve their goal. Next, they had to talk about tactical issues. We will continue to attack in the second half. Continue the attack. Everyone looked at Lee Tongfan in surprise. Even Grad didn't understand. According to common sense, if there is one less person, and it is an away game, facing a strong team like Barcelona, it is the wisest choice to have a defensive counter-attack. Why insist on attacking? After the start of the second half, Barcelona will definitely use the advantage of having one more player to attack, and we only have 3 defenders on the field: Vedran, Sergio, and Cannavaro. We can't win the game just by defending. What I need is a victory. Can only change the situation on the field if it creates more chances than Barcelona. Lee Tongfan knocked on the closet, motioned for the players to look over, and then began to arrange the tactics one by one with a confident face. Be fierce when defending. Don't be afraid of fouls. The referee made a mistake in the first half. I bet this idiot will treat us in the second half. It will be more relaxed. Speaking of the referee Fernando, Leoli couldn't help but cursed. David, don't focus all your energy on defense. I need you to organize the team's offense. Defense is not your strong point. You have to do it. The only thing is to accurately deliver the football to their feet. Lee Tongfan pointed at Feniluo, Ruud van Nistelrooy and Raul. Give the ball to them. That's what you have to do. Beckham nodded. I understand, boss. Seeing that Ziobi understood what he meant, Leoli turned his attention to the black and white duo and several power forwards. Barcelona's fullback Brasil Tuir and the small player Messi are both strong offensive and defensive players. Basically they will not participate in the team's defense. The 2 midfielders Mota and Marquez are not very fast and like to provide assists. I ask you to use your speed to break through after getting the ball. If possible, try to create set piece opportunities. We can't let our free kick beauty have no use. The Hammers all laughed. David Beckham's scimitar is indeed a nuclear weapon. Ronnie, if you still have the energy, run more in the second half. I need you to take Barcelona's 2 midfielders for 2 more laps. They seem to like being with you. Ronaldo nodded lustfully. No problem, boss. I will get close to them. Lee Tongfan thought about it again and again, replaying the images proposed in the FM 2007 system in his mind, and couldn't help but chatter a few more words. Barcelona's backline, centre back Edmilson and right back Thuram, the speed and turning are not as good as before. These 2 will be our focus of attack in the second half. In one sentence, what I need is a victory to bring glory back to the Bernabeu and leave shame at Camp Nou. The Hammers stood up and formed a circle. Victory. Victory. We need victory. First update today. Try to finish the game today. There are no articles saved, and the time for the second update cannot be guaranteed. I hope it will be before 8 PM. I don't want to rely on the plot. I really don't. Thanks for reading. Brother is lonely. I'm bad guy 2008. I love 888. 38,045,569. Harbin Wei Kayang and Fenglin Yuan for their generous rewards. Since I typed too fast, there may be typos, which will be corrected later. Thank you, Brother Zainan, for speaking up for Xiaodao. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49, Seesaw fans. Because of Ramos' foul, Barcelona got a chance to set the ball in the front court. Of course, it was their core on Ronaldinho who took the penalty point. The outspin ball went straight to the back corner of Real Madrid's goal, but this time Diego Lopez showed a very brave performance. The 1.98 meter tall man jumped up with his hands stretched out and followed the deformed autobot. The leader holds the football firmly in his arms like Optimus Prime. After landing, looking at his teammates who were already rushing forward like a crazy dog, Diego didn't hesitate for a moment and kicked the ball to Robinho, the black devil on the right. Robinho stopped the ball very steadily. Taking advantage of the situation, he dodged the ill-intentioned Mexican Marquez and passed it to Beckham, who came in the middle. At the moment, when the heartthrob stopped the ball and was about to pass it to Ruud van Nistelrooy, Puel, the golden retriever lion, with an ambition to avenge Uncle Xavi, rushed up with a sinister smile and knocked over Beckham. Beep. The slightly bald referee Fernando seemed to be very jealous of the golden lion king with thick blonde hair, so he did not hesitate to call Puel for a foul, and by the way, awarded Puel a Topaz God of War card that he had just forgotten to award to Ramos. Joel. So, less than a minute after Barcelona took the free kick, Real Madrid happily got their own opportunity, a direct free kick about 35 meters from the front of Barcelona's penalty area. After the Barcelona players gathered around the referee to chat a few words as usual, they angrily began to form a human wall, since Tongfan made it very clear during the halftime break that all free kicks must be taken by Beckham. Real Madrid players consciously went to Barcelona's penalty area to push and make trouble and constantly use some monkey tactics. Shameless and obscene moves such as stealing peaches, really cruel, killing pigs in arms, to sneak attack Barcelona's defenders to distract their attention. 0.35 meters. For a free kick master like Beckham, it's a good distance to show off. Beckham glanced at the head coach Tongfan, who was standing on the sidelines, thinking about the Corkigan training method this somewhat unique young head coach gave him, and then thinking about the bed between him and the physical fitness coach Angelo, and decided to take a direct shot. Just 5 minutes have passed since Real Madrid conceded a goal. As long as a goal can be recovered within a period of time, there is still hope of winning this game. Beckham glanced at the bald man Valdes, who was directing his teammates to line up on the wall, and found that there seemed to be something wrong with the Barcelona goalkeeper's position. Then less than 0.01 seconds after the referee's whistle blew, Beckham let the football draw a beautiful arc in the air, as clear and attractive as the waning moon after 30 years, and he was fascinated by the Barcelona penalty area for 10 seconds. After 5 or 6 stupid eyes, he ran into the round corner of the goal. The goal was scored. Unbelievable. Real Madrid, fighting with 10 men, equalized the score. This time it was Duanzuan's turn to fight. Beckham used his iconic full moon scimitar to pierce Boulder, the gate guarded by SR Alanka. Tongfan's gamble has paid off. Real Madrid still holds high the offensive banner even with one less player. This is a goal that was obtained with immeasurable courage. This is the reward of the brave. At night in faraway China, countless people cheered in noisy internet cafes, in dark cubicles, under rear projection TVs in overtime workshops, and in front of computer LCD screens in university dormitories. Even some Barcelona fans clapped with mixed feelings. That person did not disappoint them who stayed up late drinking Wang Laoji and watching football. He said that he would use a fence to defeat Barcelona head on. Although it was only a draw so far, he still proved himself in the face of such a predicament. Just like Duanzuan shouted enthusiastically on TV, this is a reward for the brave. The bravely Tongfan clenched his fist in a pretentious manner after Beckham scored, and did not show too much surprise, because it was just the beginning. Assistant coach Grad was not as unfazed as usual this time. The middle-aged man jumped up from his seat, hugged Tongfan from behind, and shook him hard. He shook Old Lee into cross-eyed stars that filled the sky. He still felt uncomfortable after that. It was so enjoyable that I jumped up and down and ran to the Barcelona coaching bench and twisted my butt. Damn it, going crazy again. Laoj, you bastard. How dare you steal the limelight from labor and management. This time it was Lee Tongbum's turn to drag Grad back from the front of the Barcelona coaching bench with a black line on his face. Also coming with him was the fourth official, who was dumbfounded. He said something rude with a shy face. Mr. Greed, I will record your behavior and report it to the disciplinary committee. Leo J woke up instantly. What did I just do? Compared to the joy in the Real Madrid coaching bench, Rijkaard felt his heart was broken. The young Chinese head coach of the opposing team was so shameless. The Dutch Black Swan now understood clearly that Leoli's plan was to exchange injuries for injuries and lose both sides. Crazy pressing in the front court to defraud set pieces, fierce tackles in the backcourt to give away set pieces. This is Real Madrid's current offensive and defensive tactics. The young coach very cleverly took advantage of the finding balance mentality of referee Fernando Wittens and found a crazy, shameless, obscene but threatening offensive path for Real Madrid, who faced 10 men. It actually succeeded. This is a rogue tactic that will bring down the Emperor, even if he is killed. Rijkaard looked at the beamingly Tongfan and thought seriously in his mind. He felt that there was no need to make personnel adjustments for the time being. No matter how he changed the tactics, he really couldn't think of a way to deal with the opponent's shameless set. More importantly, Rijkaard believed that with Barcelona's all-pervasive front court attack, they could get more opportunities than the opponent in this close combat. The balance of the game is still tilting towards Barcelona. Unfortunately, the Black Swan overlooked a very important factor: people's hearts. In the situation of 11 against 10, the opponent actually tied the game when they were ahead in numbers and score. It was a big blow to the 11 Barcelona players on the field. In addition, the referee Fernando Wittens repeatedly ignored the rough fouls of Real Madrid players, and a kind of anxiety slowly rose in the hearts of the players. So, these technical superstars who advocate artistic football slowly began to move bigger. Ramos made a flying tackle, and the Golden Lion King immediately made 2 tackles. Joel Luca pulled it, and Zambrotta immediately tore the alien's jersey. The game was still exciting. Although the referee Fernando gave away yellow sapphire war cards at a low price, he gradually began to lose control of the situation on the field. Lee Tongfan watched the game gradually enter the track he expected, knowing that the victory girl was finally going to return to the side of Real Madrid in a coquettish manner. So this guy stood on the sidelines with a serious face, waving his arms subconsciously, asking the hammers on the field to continue to carry forward the fear of death is not a hero style of grabbing the ball, while thinking carefully in his heart. Just now, the bastard Leogen used a set of extremely cool celebrations to steal my limelight. When the next goal is scored, I must celebrate before this stuffy guy. Damn, how should I celebrate? Kneeling? Rumba? Or running around the field naked? The next game was a completely defenseless offensive battle. In the 67th minute of the game, Messi showed his unparalleled breakthrough ability on the wing. He made continuous high-frequency changes of direction and stunned Croatian big man Joel Luca, then shot and scored, igniting the enthusiasm of nearly 80,000 Barcelona fans. In the 74th minute, the angry Golden Lion King knocked down the rinking roll at the front of his own penalty area. Real Madrid got another direct free kick opportunity after Leoli replaced the injured Raul with the already screaming Higuain. Beckham's crescent moon scimitar once again made the bald Uncle Vald send a big move line raw to his teammates to vent dissatisfaction. This time, the people who were so happy that they were going crazy were not only Du and Zuange, the other gluttons, and more than 20,000 Madrid fans watching the game on site, but also Lee Tongfan himself. According to the celebration action he had already thought of, he rushed into the stadium and knelt down for 7 or 8 meters. In the 77th minute, it was the Argentine golden boy Messi again. After receiving the wonderful pass from Ronaldinho, he dribbled past the poor substitute goalkeeper Diego Lopez and pushed the ball into the empty goal, performing his first hat trick in the first team. The fans of Real Madrid and Barcelona were like playing on a seesaw. This time it was the turn of the Barcelona fans to enjoy the pleasure of flying into the air. In the 80th minute, the alien Ronaldo received a cross from the white evil winger Realize, and a powerful long shot from more than 30 meters in front of the penalty area made the bold Uncle Valds pick up the ball from the goal for the 3rd time with a look of dejection. It was the turn of 20,000 Real Madrid fans to become the vacant ones on the seesaw, screaming like a convulsion, and Lee Tongfan performed a second wonderful celebration. Greed, with an embarrassed face, picked up the rumba in front of the coaching seat. In the 85th minute, after the alien broke through Thuram and his Brazilian fellow countryman Edmilson in succession, he shot from the edge of the small penalty area and scored in the resentment of his fellow countrymen, and Real Madrid took the lead for the first time in the game. 2 minutes later, Van Nistelrooy finally showed his flirtatious positioning as the king of the small penalty area. and easily made a supplementary shot to score after Valdés missed the ball. The young Messi's hat-trick did not save the increasingly anxious Barcelona. Tongfan used his shamelessness to lead the 10-man Real Madrid to a fantastic reversal. The moment the referee Fernando Whitens blew the whistle to end the game, the Nou Camp with 98,000 people was silent, and countless Barcelona fans wiped their tears and covered their hearts and quietly left the sad place, and the fans of Real Madrid looked at each other and looked at the score on the big screen, unable to believe that this was true. According to statistics from the media, the incidence of heart disease in Barcelona and Madrid increased by 200% during the 2 hours of the Spanish national derby. == The game is finally over, and I hope you are satisfied. As the old saying goes, I will correct the typos later. I don't know much about tactics. This book is a white book, just for fun, so I won't set tactics rigorously. Thank you for your support. Please give me your votes and collections. I have bad news for you. I have completely lost my drafts, so I have to spend time sharpening my knife. I will update it every day starting tomorrow, which are all transitions and plot settings. Just watch it slowly, and there will be more games. Oh my god, I'm so tired. Chapter 50. Some are happy, some are sad. In the 2006-2007 La Liga season, the first round of the Spanish national derby on September 9th left a deep mark in the record of the confrontation between Real Madrid and Barcelona. In the hustle and bustle of the Nou Camp night, the Catalans who came and went in disappointment harvested unspeakable shame. Just as Barcelona left the shame of 3-0 at the Bernabeu a season ago, Real Madrid gave them a home game of 3-5 with a more proud attitude. What's more tragic is that Real Madrid was in a disadvantageous situation of one less player from the 25th minute of the first half, in the Spanish capital of Madrid. At the moment the game ended that night, countless fanatical Real Madrid fans who failed to go to the scene to watch the game poured out of their homes shouting "Long live Madrid" and slowly gathered in the square outside the Bernabeu stadium. The song of "Come On, Madrid" resounded through the sky. Calderon and Mijatovic, the two club giants, almost laughed their mouths crooked. Tongfan was the head coach they both insisted on bringing in, because this top-notch rookie head coach from China, under the instigation of flaws, had the glass of their luxury apartment broken countless times since the beginning of the league in early July by countless fanatical fans who thought they had betrayed the interests of the club. Even in the "Who is the most unpopular person in Madrid" survey organized by Marca, Calderon and Mijatovic ranked first and second with 15% and 8% of the votes respectively. Now, the epic victory at the Nou Camp has made the names of the two bowlers resound throughout Europe. They no longer have to worry about the glass of their luxury homes and the tires of their luxury cars. Just think about the fans queuing up in front of the club gate to apologize and cheer. I'm afraid that even Florentino, who is still lying the side, will have to wait for a while to restore the Galaxy battleship. Although the whole season is just beginning to show its tip, countless critics have already determined this game as one of the classic games in the 06-07 season of world football. In this ups and downs of the offensive and defensive war, the names of two people are like the red sun that sprang up out of thin air, burning the football field. Leo Andres Messi, the 19-year-old genius boy, used his hat trick to provide a little comfort for the tears of Barcelona people on the night of shame in Camp Nou. In the heavyweight game of the Spanish national derby, the 1.70 tall Argentine golden boy burst out with a brilliance that even his senior brother Ronaldinho, the world footballer of the year, could not match. People have reason to believe that a rising star was released on this night. Another person who was very popular was Tongfan, who was not optimistic about anyone before the game and was called a madman by the media. Old Lee used his desperate 3-4-3 formation and the shameless tactics of 10 people fouling and fighting for free kicks to kick Rijkaard's dream team second from the golden clouds into the bottomless abyss. In the third round of the league, Barcelona, which had played 2 games less, ranked 20th in the La Liga standings with 1 loss, 0 draws, 0 wins, 3 goals scored, and 5 goals conceded. At the press conference after the game, the Black Swan Rijkaard graciously admitted that it was the young Real Madrid coach Lee Tongfan who won a victory with his amazing courage, and predicted that, as long as the Chinese coach was willing, he would sooner or later become a godfather of football like Shankly and Ferguson, because he saw the potential and talent of an excellent coach in him. And Lee Tongfan was unexpectedly very humble. Surrounded by reporters, Lee thanked the more than 20,000 Real Madrid fans who had been cheering for the team throughout the game, claiming that it was they who sang "Come On, Madrid" while surrounded by Barcelona fans, which brought the team the courage and confidence to overcome difficulties. This is a shameless move to win people's hearts, but in the context of the miraculous reversal at Camp Nou, it was used by Lee Tongfan to win people's hearts more than Liu Huangshu's tears. In addition to the fans who went to watch the game, hundreds of millions of Real Madrid fans around the world were impressed by the noble sentiments of this young coach. After thanking the fans, Lee shamelessly sent instructions to Rijkaard and Barcelona, wishing them good luck in the next game. This shameless style immediately won the favor of many neutral fans. Lee is the most interesting coach I have worked with in my career. He is full of courage. This is what Real Madrid vice-captain Guti said in an interview. The Golden Wolf's statement disappointed the unscrupulous media who wanted to create internal disputes. They couldn't understand why Guti, who had a perverse personality, would praise the coach so much when he was replaced early this time. There is no doubt that Lee is the one the team has been looking for. He can lead Real Madrid back to the top. Captain Raul, who was injured in the game, also praised Lee Tongfan in time when facing reporters. As for others, Beckham said, "Lee is full of courage. He is an imaginative coach and a gentleman like us Englishmen." Ronaldo, "I have found my form. Oh, yes, I have to thank Lee. He made me find the joy of football. I hope to play with him forever." Modric, "What? Dissatisfied? I don't understand what you mean. The coach didn't let me play in the national derby because the team needed to win. I completely obeyed Mr. Lee Tongfan's tactics. Yes, I'm grateful to him." Marcelo, "The team needs victory, and Lee can satisfy our wishes, so we support him." Even Calderon, the president of Real Madrid, boasted to the attendees with a glass of red wine at an upper-class party. "Now all the arguments about Lee should be over. What I want to say is that the decision of the club's board of directors is very wise. We have brought a coach who can win for the club." Some people are happy and some are sad. After this game, the person who was hurt the most was Mr. Flores, the most foresighted editor-in-chief of World Sports. For this guy, the first round of the Spanish national derby was a tragedy. Flores felt like a clown tied by Lee Tongfan on the stage under the spotlight and slapped countless times. Within a week after the game, Flores refused to talk about anything about the Chinese. Like a wounded hyena, he quietly hid in the dark, licking his wounds, waiting for the next opportunity. Of course, all this has nothing to do with Lee Tongfan. After cooperating with the interview team of Chaoting TV, Hilanshan and his team recorded a special program about the Spanish national derby. Lee Tongfan gave the first team players a day off as usual. 4 days later, Real Madrid will host the first opponent of the Champions League, Chelsea, the Premier League giant led by the Madman Mourinho. Madman vs Madman. Everyone wait and see. Take time to update a chapter. My girlfriend's school is on vacation, and we are moving today. The relationship between reality and the modifier will be analyzed in detail in the next chapter. And then there is the race with the car. Madman vs Madman. Recommend Gufengkangai who's end of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.